everybody. Welcome in. I know it's cold here too. I have my blankie. I have my cozy blankie for a cozy stream. All right. What is good? What is good? Friskfar, thank you for the 11 months. Okay. Oh my God, I almost showed toes. my ice cold freezing toes in my slippers. Whoa. It is too early for that. I actually expected a worse wire. Okay, yeah, now you've seen my wires. My wire management. It's not that bad. It could be worse, you know? WTF Amanda, thank you for the 17 months. Hogan, thank you for the gifted. Obsessed with the cardigan. This is one of my favorite thrift finds. You know how you just have those thrift finds that you go, it was a good one. This is one of them. I find that the things I wear most often are my best thrift finds, or these days, just like anything cozy. Like really cozy. We got, when we were in Japan, we got some like cozy gelato peak stuff. Oh, so cozy. Just cozy maxing. Our toes a lot on this Christian stream. I dipped them in holy water, so we should be good to go. We should be good to go. Yo, lady with nice hair. Yo. El Hawkeye, thank you for the 35 months. Anyway. Hello, everybody. Yeah, huge fan of feet. Very famously. Love feet. Just can't get enough of them. We're feet maxing. No, we're not. Magnets, thank you for the 5 gifteds. Appreciate ya. Somebody said, should I go out? Wait. Lady Kwan, should I go out for New Year's Eve today? I'm in New Zealand. Oh, yes. So you're in the future. You're in the future. It will be a solo outing. I mean, you gotta go where the winds are flowing. where your heart takes ya. You know? It's like New Year's Eve is always one of those people go, well, I guess this is one of my 5 nights of going out. It's like a obligatory going out, having a little champagne, maybe a hat on your head. For he's a jolly good fellow. Old Lang Syne. Or you just stay in and be cozy. So it's up to you. If you're one of those people who always needs an excuse, who needs something like New Year's Eve to make yourself go out, then go out. Yeah, plus it's warm where you are. It's warm. I would go out if it was warm. Do people have plans for New Year's Eve tomorrow? If you are in the time zone where New Year's Eve, if you're in the part of the world where New Year's Eve has not occurred. Is anybody doing anything? I have a cold. Dude, so many people are sick. The goddamn holidays. The goddamn holidays. It's like so annoying because it's when people finally get to take a break. It's supposed to be a rest for a lot of folks, and then so many people get sick. Staying bundled up in my blankies. I know that's how I feel right now. New Year's Eve is a rough one because so many people that don't stay up late or party do both with high expectations. I think if you learn to lower your expectations for New Year's Eve because midnight hits and it's like, oh, okay. You know, this ain't no 1999 into 2000 where people thought the world was going to end. So at least it was like a little exciting. Midnight happens and it's very anticlimactic. So it's just one of those like, don't put too much stock into having the best night of your life on New Year's Eve, but it's a good chance. You know, it's an opportunity to see people, make yourself get out of the house, or you just get all cozy, you know, because nothing's really happening. So you don't have to feel guilty about just watching movies and cozy maxing. Putting on my gym jams. Yeah, there's two kinds of people. Those who go all out and those who stay in their pajamas. I used to have to work every New Year's Eve. So when I worked in clubs, there were certain blackout days. There were certain blackout dates. And those were dates that you could not take off unless like somebody died. And it was Halloween was one. Not Black Friday. Blackout Wednesday, the night before Thanksgiving. And then New Year's Eve was one as well. But New Year's Eve always sucked because it wasn't even that great of a night for tips. It was really busy in the clubs, but it wasn't a good tip night because everything was prepaid. So all the tables you had to prepay. It usually wasn't like your regular clients. So it sucked because every single New Year's Eve I had to work in the club and it wasn't even a great money night, but you had to. Blackout dates sound like you're going to have a rager. No, it just meant you cannot take it off or we will fire you. So I was dating Will for like, 1, 2, 3, I think 5 years. Yeah. I think 5 years and we never spent a New Year's Eve together. Except for maybe COVID, but we just were hanging out in my dead grandmother's house, and I think we had a little glass of champagne. The secret to a happy relationship? Maybe. He didn't pre-buy a table. This is when he was broke. This was broke boy era. This was not the Will Neff with resources to prepay for a table at a club. Blackout Wednesday is a thing. Yes, especially in cities like Chicago, where I'm from. I just remember it being like one of the biggest drinking nights of the year. Because the next day is Thanksgiving, and so everyone's like, oh, I'll just be hungover and eat a bunch of food. He wouldn't visit in the club. No, he would visit, especially the first couple years. He would come in all the time, but that was faux free. You know, I would just get him and his friends into the club and then get them alcohol, get them booze. Tell a story about how you started dating. I mean, it's been told a million times, but we met in a club. We found love in a hopeless place. We found love in the club. Yeah, it's not that exciting. I don't know. I mean, it's not like we were it's not like we were both in line at a coffee shop. We realized that we had the same coffee order, and it's a coffee order that we'd never seen anyone else ever order before, and it was the first person we'd both met with the exact same coffee order. An almond milk vanilla latte. We both drank black coffee. Who says you can't find love at a club? Yeah, well, I am proof of that. Met when you ran over a guy in the woods at night and hid the body together before he came back 5 years later for revenge. See, that's what I'm talking about. That's my kind of shit. That is my kind of shit. Thought about meeting a potential partner at a loud club feels so exhausting. Well, I think it's when you're in the frame of mind that you're not finding your partner. Because what happened was I just went up to Hassan and other friends to say hi and see if they needed anything. And then I introduced myself to Will, and he's like, yeah, I've met you many times. So it was not like everything stopped. A spotlight fell, and I was like, you. Yeah, I just walked up. I was like, yo, I'm Caroline. You guys need anything? He said, yeah, I've met you many times. I was like, dude, I work in a club. I meet so many people. It's crazy in here. I know it smells crazy in there. Well, at the beginning of the night, it would always be freezing cold because once bodies fill up the club, it gets hot. So beginning of the night, ice cold. And then halfway through the night, it's like so sweaty. People stank. People just be farting. And let me tell you, I have smelled every type of alcohol fart. I'm sorry, this is so gross. I've smelled every type of alcohol fart there is. Champagne farts are the most vile. People are gross. Human beings are disgusting, okay? And I say this as someone who previously taught children, worked in a club where there were many drunk adults coming in, worked in the service, and like I've worked in a lot of different jobs. I can conclude humans are gross. They just be farting and burping, and why don't they go to the bathroom? I don't know. Sometimes I swear people would like shit themselves. They'd be so high on cocaine and whatever other drugs and just shit themselves. People would just puke all over the place. At the end of the night, we had to clean the tables. That was one of our closeout tasks. And the amount of like fake nails I would find, puke, gum. People just take their gum and put it everywhere. So I would have to scrape it off. Sometimes lashes. Women are just shedding like birds. They're molting after a full night at the club. How many shoes? Not too often. Sometimes I found like really fancy designer bags, but I always had to turn them in. Women just leaving their Chanel bags. I'm like, are you insane? This is a $15,000 bag, and you just got drunk enough to disregard like the cost of a bag that is some people's yearly salary. As a girly that's puked at the club, I'm so sorry. Everyone's done it. Well, not everyone, but a lot of people have done it. It's okay. I forgive you. I have also puked at a club. That's my student loans. I know. I have your whole house on my wrist. What the fuck kind of club was this? Just your average club. I'm telling you, okay. One thing I got really good at was being able to tell different types of people. So like I could tell the people who came in and were just going to get absolutely annihilated, or like people who were going to cause problems. People, there's just all these different types of people who come into a club. And it's amazing. Like I've gotten very drunk in a club before, but never to the point where never to the point that I would see quite a few individuals who'd come in. And it was incredible. They would enter sober, and then in the span of like an hour and a half, just be absolutely annihilated. So like we knew certain tables to put trash cans by because we knew there were people there who were just going to vomit all over the place. I was a bartender for 25 years, so I have a pretty good nose for that too. Yeah. You can also tell like different reasons why people are there, and not just because as a host or waitress, I'd be like, oh, you guys celebrating anything, blah, blah, blah. You can tell people who are there hunting for somebody to, hunting to get laid, or like thinking that they're going to find their wife or husband or whatever. People who just had something going on in their lives and needed to douse it with lots and lots of tequila, drowning their sorrows. Other people who were like very clearly uncomfortable in clubs. Like when we would get parties in, somebody who's there, it's just like normal people, birthday, it's my 30th, so I'm doing something special. I'm getting a table. And just you have people who are like very clearly club regulars, and then those who are like, I'm only here because it's this person's 30th birthday. The people who are forced to be there. Yeah. Those are usually the people I would like try to talk to, just to make sure they had as good of a time as they could. People have a lot of anxiety because a lot of people also don't know how to, clubs are very loud and they're not ideal places to have conversations. But there are people who are happy to just listen to Roddy Ricch's The Box and, take shots and just get really drunk. And then there are people who are just trying to trying to chat. So I'd always be like, well, we do have a patio. We do have, like, if you go by the bar, it's gonna be a little bit quieter. I miss clubs. I love dancing, and no one wants to go out anymore. Here's my thing. As I've gotten older, for me, the most important things, the music and the vibes. And a lot of times, like the clubs that I worked at, it was kind of more of just like the scene. A lot of celebrities would go. It was kind of like the who's who type shit, but not necessarily people dancing. I don't have fun at places like that because all you can do is just drink. And the music was the same music every single time. There are some songs I cannot listen to without being immediately transported back to like any of the clubs that I worked at. Just had to listen to the same songs 5 nights a week. I remember going to my first gay club. There was a drag show. It was so fun. Yeah, that kind of stuff is so fun. I would usually like on nights that I had off, I would prefer to go to gay clubs just because I always like the music more and people go there to dance. Clubs where people don't dance are depressing. Yes, I agree. DJ James Kennedy, put your hands together. He literally DJ'd one night at one of our clubs. Because the other thing about our clubs is that sometimes we would have in like Paris Hilton. Paris Hilton would DJ, we would have like celebrity DJs. And some of them were okay. Some of them were not good. There were a few DJs we had on rotation that I was like, okay, they're better than the other ones, but it was still just a lot of the same songs over and over again. Hi, Carol, your hair is looking extra long today and totally not 7 inches shorter. Yes, it grew overnight. Did the DJs have you falling in love again? No, the DJs had me ready for the night to be over and ready to go home. Especially once I stopped drinking. Once I stopped drinking and would just do night after night sober, working in a club. Sober, working in a club 4 to 5 nights a week. You know, I thought to myself, if I can do this, I can do anything. Did they play MGMT Electric Feel? No. No, it was all like top 100. It was all like trendy music. Zero patience after a while. Yeah, it was pretty brutal. I basically, in my final years, especially as a host, when I was a waitress, I would get yelled at if I was not put together. I've told some of those stories, but as a host, I stopped wearing heels because I fucked my feet up and I was like, this isn't worth it. I am literally sprinting through this place. Stopped wearing heels, stopped wearing any sexy outfit. There was no sexy fits. Stopped wearing makeup a lot of nights. Stopped drinking. Yeah, that's what happens. That's what happens when you work in clubs for longer than a year or two. Because it was like the first year and a half, 2 years, I would drink every night. I was like, this is amazing. Oh my God. Free alcohol. And then it got old. Yeah, I would wear cute little outfits, have my heels on, my little clipboard. Yeah, and then I was just done. People do not want to get off their ass and work anymore. Yeah, that was me. What was the name of the guy that used to come to your club and ended up embezzling money? Oh, yeah. Zach Horowitz, aka Zach Avery, who currently should be serving a 20-year sentence for one of the biggest Ponzi schemes in history. Yeah, he's serving 20 years in prison. And his Ponzi scheme was to the tune of $650 million. Oh, it looks like they ended up making a documentary on him. Prime Video's Hollywood Hustler, Glitz, Glam, Scam features his ex-wife Mallory and friends recounting the betrayal and devastation. So I think the reason that they didn't end up having me be a part of this documentary, because one of the producers had reached out and she was like, I heard that, I got your information and I heard that you worked at clubs where Zach Horowitz, aka Zach Avery, would show up. I was like, yes, this is true. The one thing that they kept asking me to confirm was the him being with women were clearly hired for sex and who were, never his wife. His wife was never with him. And I was like, I can't confirm that. I don't know. Yeah, he was always with a lot of people. There were women, but I can't, I just can't confirm if these were women that he had, that he was having sex with and he was paying them. That's what they wanted. and just lie for the camera. Yeah, I've got the tea. Oh, you want the tea? We'll pull up your teacup because I've got a lot to pour. Just lie to get that screen time, put it on my resume. Hollywood Hustler, Glitz, Glam, and Scam. Featuring me as me. Yeah, that was so, that was crazy. Did all the weirdos in the US end up in your club? There were a lot of them. Like people in politics, media, Hollywood. They would come through those doors, especially in the heyday. Like 2017 to right before COVID. Like, you know who came in was, I think I maybe mentioned, Michael Cohen. I remember Michael Cohen came in one night. Remember? Donald Trump's lawyer, who was helping him cover up his many scandals and crimes. How was that almost 9 years ago? I don't know. Lori Lightfoot. No, I can't say the former mayor of Chicago ever came into one of the clubs I worked at in Los Angeles. But I did get people like Nancy Pelosi's granddaughter. Not Barack Obama, but I think one of the Obama girls came in one night. Not LeBron. I don't remember. Actually, no, LeBron would go in. So Sundays were not usually days I worked. So I worked Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, sometimes Tuesday, sometimes Sunday. And Sundays were run, it was run by like a different crew. And those were like the hip hop nights. It was just like a totally different vibe, totally different crowd. I've had multiple run-ins with Jared Leto. He was always a creep. Yes, he is. Everyone knows that he's a creep. He's the worst. Kirsten Dunst yelled at my sister for looking at Jake Gyllenhaal when they were dating. You know what? Deserved. Wait, I totally forgot they dated. Anyway, Caroline, you are so cool. Oh, wow. Thanks. It's going to go right to my head. Jacob Elordi threw his matcha at me. No, he did not. He would never. Not my Jacob. What's the club name if you can share? So none of them exist anymore, which is also just crazy. But I used to work at, it was primarily 3 clubs. And it was under the SBE banner. So SBE was the company. And one of them was called Nightingale, which now is Zouk. So Zouk is a big club in Vegas. And then they moved, not moved, but they opened one in West Hollywood where this club called Nightingale used to be. And then another one was, actually, I wonder if this one is still open, but it was called Hyde Sunset. And then another one was Doheny Room. I once said hi to David Cross and he said, my bag fits in the overhead bin. I worked at an airport. I love those, like, I love these types of celebrity encounters where it's so, it's just silly. Jacob Elordi refused to give me an uppie. I do believe that. You asked for uppies and he was like, no, I don't think so. Please get away. Clubs are always going out of business and reforming under new brands. Yeah, because you have a lot of people too who are like scammers and grifters. There's a reason why the club industry constantly is dealing with clubs closing, companies going out of business, people going to prison. When I was on my New York trip, I saw Daniel Radcliffe on 48th Street. Was he walking 100 dogs? I was too shy to go up to him. Daniel Radcliffe is a celebrity who I believe would be so kind if you went up to him. Even if you did the most annoying interaction that he's probably gotten a million times and you were like, Wingardium Leviosa, you're a wizard, Harry. You're just like, I'm a what? He would still be so nice. He would be like, it's nice to meet you. And inside he'd be like, please die. Please. You're a blizzard, Harry. I met Heath Ledger way back in 2002. He was visiting his high school. I got to shake his hand. Heath Ledger. One of my loves. I remember exactly where I was when I found out he died. I was in gym class. It was in 2008. I was in gym class and I hated gym class. Not because I wasn't athletic, because gym class sucked. Like, who liked gym class? And I think it was like a weight day or something like that, lifting. And the news started to break that Heath Ledger had died. It was like, I literally fell to my knees in gym class. Literally fell to my knees in gym class. No, I just didn't like lifting weights. I've kind of gotten into a little more now, but in high school, I was like, no, I don't think so. Yeah. Okay. All y'all being like, I like gym class. You know why I didn't like it? Because we had to change into gym clothes and everyone smelled. It was really stinky. And I usually, especially by junior and senior year, I would always have like my turtlenecks and my blazers, the type of fits where I'm like, I'm not changing into. So I got to a point that I stopped changing into my gym clothes. My theater friends and I, we just refused to change into gym clothes. And our gym teacher, she just dealt with us. She just called us the theater crew. She's like, whatever. I said, the blazer stays on. The blazer stays on. You just committed to stink all day? No, because I didn't sweat. Because I never worked. And I say this as somebody who was athletic. I did a lot of sports in high school. I always did the bare minimum in gym class so I would not sweat. Because the last thing I was going to do was get in one of those showers. I don't think so. I thought you played volleyball. No. I played tennis, soccer. I ran cross country and track. Athlete of the week, you know. Kitsy Cat, thank you for the 13 months. Otter Tricks, thank you for the prime. Unjol, thank you for the 17 months. Hogan, thank you for the gifted. Valerie, why don't you come on over, Valerie? Thank you for the 13 months. All right. I'm kind of slow starting here, but I got a couple things to talk about, and then I really am excited to play this horror game that Sam Sam has told me is like one of the best that she's played. It's called Routine. It's a first-person sci-fi horror set on an abandoned lunar base designed around an 80s vision of the future. She was so obsessed with this game. She texted me. She called me. She messaged me in Discord with the link, the Steam link to the game. So I was like, I think you really like this. Is it hashtag sponsored? It's not hashtag sponsored. It is hashtag Sam has insisted I play this game. Have you watched Heated Rivalry? Not yet. I know everyone is obsessed with it. I did see this though, which was good, but also not good. Like kind of an indictment on... just an indictment on our healthcare system, on how you have to like make a hit show in order to get off a 5-year waiting list to talk to a Parkinson's expert. I don't know if anyone saw this, but Rachel Reed, who is the author of Heated Rivalry, has Parkinson's. And she said that the show's success is helping her fight the disease. It's making it hard to write. Wait, this is in Canada? Oh my God. Oh yeah, because Heated Rivalry is a Canadian show. Well, you know what? It still stands an indictment on the American healthcare system, but also just the just how difficult it is for people who have something as excruciating as Parkinson's to get access to the expert care that they need. Don't worry, healthcare up here is fucked too. Yeah, well, it's because you have Canadians who are like, we should make it worse, like the United States. Okay, so here she is talking about, let me skip down a bit. Oh my God, wait. Will there ever be a Heated Rivalry Broadway musical? Oh my God. I haven't even seen the show yet. And I'm like, please, the people want it. The people need it. All right, here's this part. You have talked about being diagnosed with Parkinson's at the same time Jacob approached you about the television adaptation. How is your health today? It's making it hard to write because I can barely control a mouse. I can't type for very long. It's hard for me to sit in a chair for very long. I need to figure out new ways to write. I don't know if that will be voice to text. God, that is so awful. I don't know if I can write that way. It doesn't feel natural, but I need to figure out something because it's taking me a very long time to write now. But an amazing thing that's come out of this, though, is Jacob was on CNN a few weeks ago. For whatever reason, the interviewer asked him about my Parkinson's diagnosis. What Jacob is this? I think this is Jacob Tierney, who is what is he? Is he the showrunner or? He's the he's the showrunner, it seems. Okay, so Jacob was on CNN and the interviewer asked him about my Parkinson's diagnosis. I thought it was kind of odd, but then the next day, one of the top Parkinson's experts in the world reached out to me and asked if he could help me. I have never gotten to talk to a Parkinson's expert. I've been on a 5-year waiting list here because I live in a very small place. Now he's found me a Parkinson's expert, a neurologist, and I have an appointment in a couple weeks. That could change things for me because I'm not really getting the treatment that I should be getting. He also told me how to change my medication so I can sleep because I never slept. That change made me sleep through the night, which really helps with writing. I mean, that is amazing that she is finally, it's so bittersweet though. It's like, it took Heated Rivalry being a hit show for the author of Heated Rivalry to get help that she needs and has been waiting years for. Yeah, classic heartwarming. What a heartwarming healthcare story. Child has 10-year-old has lemonade stand and raises $2,000 for his teacher's cancer treatment. Respectfully, no, people are taking it out of context and being uncharitable. Wait, how? How are they being, what are they saying? These stories are too common. You know what happens? Oh, you meant to reply to someone. Oh, do you know what happens too is often it takes a celebrity, somebody like Michael J. Fox, for instance, who famously has Parkinson's. He's had Parkinson's for a long time now. It takes a famous person who has a disease to bring attention to it, to like, you know, for the media to talk about it, for people to become aware of it, for money to be raised for research. And still it's like, it's, you know, Michael J. Fox is just one person. Lou Gehrig, for instance. Yeah. Same with, same with Bruce Willis. You know, when Bruce Willis was diagnosed, with frontotemporal dementia, people were finding out what that was because the media was talking about it. You know, they had healthcare experts on, they had doctors on talking about what it is. And then, you know, there's always like fundraising that can actually happen for, you know, money for research for a disease like FTD because somebody like Bruce Willis was diagnosed with it. Definitely feels like this will happen with long COVID. A few more celebs talk about it every year, but it hasn't broken through quite yet. Yeah, there are people like, you know, who's amazing is Violet Affleck, who's Ben Affleck and Jennifer Garner's daughter. She is so awesome. She is, you know, she's been an advocate. She's been an advocate for, COVID awareness, long COVID awareness, and for public safety. And she's also used her voice for Palestine. She's, as far as celebrity kids go, I will say, I think Violet Affleck is one of the coolest ones. She is certainly seems to be not in the world that an Apple Martin inhabits. Yeah, that's our kind of Nepo baby. The second people figure out how to change the label of long COVID to the since 2020 brand new sports injuries among the more aerobic sports, i.e. deep vein thrombosis, the faster the public will start listening. I mean, unfortunately, COVID now produces a response in people that they deny it. They just want to hear nothing about it. They want to pretend like it's something that happened. It was this one period of time, but we're past that now. Did you see this? Wait, what's his Jonah Freed? Actually, I can probably find it this way. Let me see if I can find Judah. Sorry, not Jonah. Judah. Yeah, so this is Judah Friedlander. He is a comedian, an actor. He was in 30 Rock. I thought you were doing Jonah Hill. No. I couldn't think of Judah. And he, because of his health, he has to constantly mask, and he is, he's an advocate and uses his platform to try and get people to care. Anyway, he made a video responding to Jon Stewart, Jon Favreau, Tim Miller, who were all on a podcast together, and they were mocking people who have to mask because of their personal health reasons, which, first of all, it's nobody's business why somebody is masking. And it's one of those like, yes, masking is not something that the general public engages in anymore in the way that we did in 2020 and 2021. But it is really cruel to see people like Jon Stewart in particular punching down this way, mocking people who have to mask for their personal health reasons or because they have people in their lives who are immunocompromised. And so they can't get sick because they don't want to pass that on to, say, their spouse or child or whoever it is. Anyway, take a look at this.
Hey, Jon Stewart, podcast Jon Favreau, Tim Miller. Why are you trying to belittle people for wearing a mask?
Favreau, by the way, he has to get in a car and drive to some place of business where he breathes shared air
with others.
Well, it's a progressive outlet, so there are a couple masked. Couple of people are wearing masks.
There's
like, what is that cheap shot? It's a progressive outlet, so there's a couple people who are masked. Insert laughter. What he's saying is like, oh yeah, these wokies who are masking, and it's so pathetic. I've always despised Tim Miller. I don't give a shit that like people try to present him as one of the good Republicans. It's like, Tim Miller sucks. All right. Tim Miller is an asshole. He was the communications director for Jeb Bush. This is a man who willingly went to work for Jeb Bush's presidential campaign. So I don't give a shit that he's a Republican who says Trump is horrible. Tim Miller is a piece of shit. And he has, I don't know, he works for PodSave or whatever. And he's here mocking people at PodSave America, at their own company, people who have to mask for health reasons.
There's always two, and you always say, "Oh, are you sick?" And they go, "I don't want to talk." And then you have to.
Congratulations.
That is so aggravating. It's so aggravating to see Jon Stewart behaving this way. It's really callous. It is demonstrating a complete lack of empathy. And let me just say to Jon Stewart, you asking people who are masked, are they sick? First of all, it's none of your business why somebody is masked. Second of all, people who have to mask constantly for, as I said, their health reasons, for other people's health, they are so used to people mocking them. They are used to probably an interaction that begins with, "Why are you masked?" Ending with somebody berating them for being masked. So forgive them, if you will, for not wanting to talk to somebody who starts off a conversation with, "Why are you masked?"
Guys.
You're giving it too much energy. It's not a mockery. You're an idiot. You're gonna watch this and say that this is not them mocking. Let's just play it back.
Podcast John Favreau, Tim Miller.
Let's play it back.
Why are you trying to belittle people for wearing a mask?
Favreau, by the way, he has to get in a car and drive to some place of business where he breathes shared air
with others.
Well, it's a progressive outlet, so there are a couple masked. A couple of people are wearing masks.
There's always two. There's always two, and you always say, "Oh, are you sick?" And they go, "I don't want to talk to you." And then you have to.
Congratulations, guys.
And I will tell you, this is not the first time. This is not the first time that the Pod Johns or Jon Stewart have been callous in this way. Okay. So I don't think it's difficult at all to read this as them making little jokes about people who are masked. And also this is, there was actually a piece on this. Hold on. Yeah, I think Mother Jones wrote the piece. Let me pull it up. Okay, why is this taking forever to load?
Conformity certificates and punching down trophies are in the mail. Thanks for doing your part to prop up the ruling class and for shitting on people who aren't harming you. But I guess they're different than you.
I will tell you, on my flights to and from Chicago, there were so many people in the airport who were coughing, who very clearly were sick and didn't mask. They didn't mask. And that's how these viruses, whether it's COVID or not, travel or infect so many people.
So you got to shit on them. Thanks, guys. Hey, Jon Stewart.
Yeah, so Judah Friedlander's been calling him out, and let me pull up this piece from Mother Jones, where I was glad to see some outlet call attention to the fact that it's not funny to joke about people wearing masks. Over the weekend, COVID cautious individuals shared clips on social media of Jon Stewart punching down on people who are masking, who are presumably doing so to protect themselves from COVID, the flu, and other infectious diseases that are spreading across the United States. On the December 11th episode of the podcast, The Weekly Show with Jon Stewart, guest Tim Miller of The Bulwark said there have to be at least two people at fellow guest Jon Favreau's workplace wearing masks because it's a progressive organization. Stewart responded, "There's always two. And you always say, 'Oh, are you sick?' And they go, 'I don't want to talk about it.'" So again, to the chatter who's like, no, they're not mocking them. What he's saying there, the point he's making is that they're masking for bullshit reasons. And that's why they don't want to tell Jon Stewart why they're masking or whoever else is asking them, because they're not masking for any legit reasons. That's why he says, they always go, I don't want to talk about it. First of all, asking people why they're masking is invasive behavior. No one randomly owes you information about their health, their loved one's health, or understandably just wanting to avoid COVID, which is the only way to prevent long COVID. As I've also previously reported, disabled people in New York's Nassau County have reported being harassed after the county passed a mask ban. Cancer patients have also told their stories of being questioned about why they're masking. Even before the start of the COVID pandemic, populations including cancer patients and organ transplant recipients have been encouraged to mask by healthcare professionals. Sad that Jon Stewart and friends have become just more white liberals who enjoy punching down at marginalized people who are just doing our best to survive. Christina LaFay, a disabled author and essayist, told me, those of us who have long COVID, who have watched family and friends die of COVID, we are being mocked for taking common sense precautions against illness and further disability. And also, it's not just about COVID. Immunocompromised individuals, their bodies do not react the same way as as able-bodied people who are not immunocompromised when they get something like a virus. And it's something that I think a lot of people take their health for granted. And so, first of all, somebody who is immunocompromised, they have to take things into consideration that someone who is not never would ever think of. And so on top of that, being mocked for having to do what they can do to protect their health or protect people around them who are immunocompromised it's just really cruel. Like, this is just mean. This is so unempathetic, and you hate to see someone like Jon Stewart doing this. I hope that he sees the response to this clip. I hope that he takes it to heart. I hope he recognizes why this is cruel behavior. Being disabled is always so much extra work because we always have to protect and fight for ourselves. Yes. It's like disabled people don't receive, they don't receive any help, not to the degree that is necessary. And so they have to mask for their own safety. Stewart has consistently backed vaccines, medical expertise, and harm reduction. So I'm really surprised to hear his comments. What I think it is too is I think it's people who do not want to be. It's people who don't want to be reminded that disabled people exist. They don't want to be reminded that COVID still exists, that a lot of people have what is referred to as long COVID, which is, let me get the exact definition on this. Long COVID is now, it's considered a chronic condition. It occurs after a COVID infection and is COVID infection that's present for at least 3 months. Long COVID includes a wide range of symptoms or conditions that may improve, worsen, or be ongoing. And we are still in very early stages of understanding long COVID. There are people who have long COVID who have not been able to get out of bed for like years at this point, who have had their entire lives upended because they have now this chronic condition. And the thing is, too, is you may be healthy now, but anything can happen to you. My mom was diagnosed. She was diagnosed 2 years ago, and she now has to worry about her immune system in a way that she didn't before. And that was something where her entire life she was able-bodied. She never had to take steroids or anything like that. She was never, if she got sick, no big deal. Right. It would be like, it would affect her in a way that was not like debilitating, that would not like chronically cripple her. And now she has to take things into consideration that she didn't before. There's a famous YouTuber who got long COVID, was bedridden for like 2 or 3 years. I was so, I know you're not talking about Iron Mouse, but I was just thinking about how pissed off I was when I think it was Plaqueboy Max was like, what, Iron Mouse, she should just like drop the VTuber. She should just drop the VTuber thing and let's all party. It was something like that. And I was like, do you understand that Iron Mouse is bedridden? Do you understand that like VTubing was a lifeline for somebody like Iron Mouse. That is insane. that is the stupidest thing I have heard. The fuck is wrong with you? And then apparently his chat was like, bro, she's bedridden. He was like, oh, I didn't know. I'm like, really? Okay. Well, maybe we should not speak. Maybe we should close our mouths. It's akin to mocking 9/11 first responders. John making fun of people that have long COVID and those that still mask. It's quite the juxtaposition. Yes, for someone who was such an advocate for 9/11 first responders, you know, trying to ensure that they were taken care of. And now all these years later, it's like, John, what has happened to you? What has happened to you? Research shows that long COVID is very much a working class problem. A study looking at people in Spain found that workers who had close contact with colleagues at their job, didn't mask, and took public transit to and from work are more likely to have long COVID, thus also highlighting COVID as an occupational problem. The United States Census Bureau also reported in 2023 that Black and Latino adults were more likely to report experiencing long COVID symptoms than white people. Some people have also pointed out the hypocrisy of his work supporting 9/11 first responders and how he's talking about masking now. Epidemiologist Gabriel A. Perry posted on Blue Sky that Stewart has some absolute fucking nerve to be making fun of long COVID survivors and people still masking when he has seen up close the government deny healthcare and resources for 9/11 survivors who breathed in toxic air and are suffering decades later. Justine Barron worked a few blocks from the World Trade Center in 2001. On top of exposure that day, I was exposed for a year and developed extremely severe breathing and skin issues as well as immune dysfunction, Barron told me. Barron acquired long COVID in 2020, and her doctors believe that her 9/11 related conditions made her more susceptible to developing long COVID. Barron is part of a 25-year World Trade Center Health Commission study, including hundreds of thousands of participants. More recently, there have been questions related to COVID and long COVID, indicating that the commission is also aware of this connection. My point is that you can't be supportive of the 9/11 responders without also being supportive of long COVID. Both environmental harms cause similar issues in people, and there are many of us that are double victims. So,
Podcast.
you know, this is a topic that I think a lot of people try to avoid because it makes them uncomfortable because, amazing. Long COVID is a side effect of the COVID vaccine. Yeah, okay, great. You know, I'm always curious, like, how long has this person been in here? Following since November 4th, 2025. Long COVID is due to the vaccine. Masking is a control issue with people. A study found long COVID is caused by vaccine. A study. Yeah, where did that study come from? Long COVID is a side effect of the COVID vaccine. It's always amazing because anytime I broach a topic that maybe I haven't talked about in a while or just haven't talked about, I always have people who just really expose their ass. And that's why I'm like, how long has this person been watching my stream? Now, they've only been watching for 2 months, but staying silent is free. Just remember that, y'all. Staying silent is free. You always have the option to not say anything. You always have the option to not say anything. Yeah, so this, a lot of people responded to it and were really disappointed to see somebody like Jon Stewart pulling cheap punches like this, punching down the guy who campaigned for years for 9/11 first responders, now being on a podcast. It's like, look at these guys are all millionaires, and it's also kind of, it's also like those optics of these white liberal, well, Tim Miller's a Republican, but these white millionaires who are mocking people who are, whose health is compromised. It's just gross. It's just really gross. And like, I will say, I think it's one. Okay, I'm just going to be honest here, but I think COVID is a topic that even leftists like to avoid because, as I said, people want to act as if it's over and done with. They don't want to feel any guilt about, and I get this too. Like I am a person who is not perfect at like I mask in the airport and stuff like that, but I don't mask 24/7. I take COVID tests constantly. If I am sick, I do not go around people, but I know that, I mean, this is just me. This is me being honest, but it's like, I know that it's not the best that I can do. And I think too, this is why people, that's insane. What's insane? Because COVID ended up being a cold. That's not true. Oh my God. See, this is one of these topics, y'all. And I at the very least, what I will always say is like, if you are like the majority of people where you are able-bodied for now, and you don't have to, you aren't immunocompromised, or you don't have long COVID, or it's just not, your health is not something that you have to or feel the need to take extra precautions on. You cannot be mocking people who are not in that position. And do y'all know what I'm saying? Where it's like, this is one of these topics that people just, they get really cruel about, and they, even on the left, kind of turn into deniers and showcase lack of empathy. And yeah, I mean, sounding a lot like how MAGA people sounded in 2020. I'm going on year 6 now with long COVID that has put me on and off disability a few times. Stress of working through being in pain every day doesn't help to get better. My job's the only way to get healthcare too. I got bad mono a couple months after COVID. They think COVID really messed up my body. I used to do half marathons and kickboxing, and I haven't been able to run for 6 years. I've been so sad because I'm 30 now and I missed out on half my 20s. I'm so sorry. And it's also like, it just, you are a person like a lot of people where one day you were able-bodied and then the next day you weren't. And it's something that just, you weren't born with any genetic condition. This is something that now you have to deal with that you didn't have to before. And it does, it can happen. It can. And that's why it's like, people who are currently able-bodied and have no empathy for those who are disabled, I think it's because they think it'll never happen to me. I think it's because a lot of people think, oh, well, you know, those people were born that way, which is also like crazy to have that attitude. Leftists need to address the unchecked ableism happening in their communities. Sorry, I'm for yelling, but I'm heated. Yeah, I think this is true. And I don't know. I mean, I'm talking about this right now, and there is still, like, as I said, I recognize my own blind spots, and that disabled people are so often left out of the conversation. And I know that a lot of leftists aren't great on talking about disabled issues and on not checking ableism from themselves or their own communities. And yeah, it is one of these topics that we need to do better talking about. And I think at bare minimum, people, not just leftists, but like people, need to have empathy for disabled people. And so often we don't see that. And that's how you end up with like Jon Stewart and Favreau and Tim Miller just making these jokes, being so callous, where it's like, they didn't have to say that. You know, they're not out here advocating for the disabled community, but at the very least, you don't have to say that shit. A lot of leftists have a phobia of looking preachy and are working really hard to rebrand as tough and cool. I think what it is too, and I know people always tune out of this conversation because they don't want to acknowledge it. They don't, it's like, if you don't talk about it, then it's not real. If you don't talk about it, it's not real. And that's why it's just not, it's not discussed a lot. And I know I am not perfect. I know I'm not perfect, and I'm not trying to be, you know, self-effacing and like in like a fake holier than thou way. But I do feel like there's so little advocacy for the disabled community, and how, you know, with all this dark woke bullshit and and leftists being like, no, it's cool to say the R slur. Don't woke police us. Like, oh, this is the woke hill you're going to die on. And it's like, if you can't, this is the easiest thing to do to like show your support for disabled people, is like not to use the R slur. And I don't think that this is like a hill, an unnecessary hill or stupid hill to die on. It's like, if you can't do that, then how can you be expected to be any type of advocate, any type of ally? If like bare minimum, you can't stop using the R slur. It's like, I've said this before, but it's the easiest ask. It is the easiest ask. Why do you so badly need to say this? And it's so cruel too, then, to turn around and say to people who are like, stop saying it, and accuse them of being like obnoxious, way too woke people. So anyway, thing is that disability justice and anti-ableism is not just about language, it's about fighting for a world that isn't built to exclude disabled people. Yes, there's so many times that like able-bodied people don't even realize how much this world, how much our society is not built to include those who are disabled. And that's because we treat disabled people as invisible. We treat them as like, we'll just relegate you to the fringes and you're neither seen nor heard. Like when people pointed out at TwitchCon that they didn't have stages that were wheelchair accessible. And one of the streamers who I think he had won some show or he was involved in something at TwitchCon, he couldn't even get up on stage because there was no wheelchair accessibility. And that's something that if you are not disabled, you don't notice that kind of stuff. That's not your reality. It's not your, it's not something that you have to worry about. So it always falls on disabled people to be their own advocates, to hope that people care. And, they're out here being like, we would like to participate in society as well. We would not like to just be treated as invisible, be expected to be invisible. I'm in my late 30s and thought that training myself out of saying the R word was going to be impossible since it was such a common word to say when I was growing up, but it wasn't actually that difficult. Just be a bit mindful. It's pretty easy to train yourself not to be ableist very quickly. I will never, I just won't back down on this. I won't concede because it is the easiest thing to do, to not use this slur. It's like, hey, there was a period of time where it went out of fashion. And then, with the, with the culture shifting to the right, with this whole, we have freedom to say slurs again. It's like, what are leftists doing participating in this? Do you think that this is how we beat the right? Do you think you using the R slur is how we beat fascism? Because it's not, and you're a fucking idiot if you think so. And again, if you cannot bare minimum, if you cannot not use these slurs, then you are useless. Then as a leftist, as an ally, as somebody who claims to be fighting for a more progressive society, you are useless. You are a joke. You can't do anything. And I'm sorry, but if you're like, well, what else am I supposed to use? You need to expand your vocabulary. Okay. There are so many words out there. And there's no argument. There's no argument that will get me to be like, oh, okay. You're limited. You're limited. Open a fucking dictionary. Yes. Open a dictionary. Okay. Oh my God, words are replaceable. There are so many words to express what you want to say, to express meaning. Ignoramus has great mouthfeel. Yeah, I'm like, look, as somebody who once upon a time for fun would read the dictionary, who loves words, I will tell you that you are a silly person if you are convinced that there's no other word you can use. It just means that you have no grasp of language. And the thing is too, you know, when yeah, I know some of you have mentioned Fan, and like I I have tried to do what I can to encourage people not to dig in their heels and to set a better example. And I think this kind of harkens back to what we were talking about yesterday, which is people don't want to be told that they're causing harm. They don't want to be told that they're wrong. They don't want to be criticized. They have a hard time. They have a hard time just going, you know what? I hear you and I will do better. I will do better. And it's like, y'all, going into 2026, can we all please pledge to do our best to be better to one another? And even if you think that even if you think it's behavior that you are engaging in is fine, despite a lot of people saying it's not, please know that like this world, life is more about, it's about more than just you. It's about how we interact with one another and how we affect other people. And so it's not just about you. It's not just about what you want to do and get over yourselves. Yeah, get over yourselves. So that's something that you need to be thinking about. And whatever comes first, like your recognition that what you're doing is what you're doing is having a negative impact on people, whether that comes first or you just going, okay, I'm going to change even if I don't believe this. You need to be taking how you are affecting people around you into account. Why hurt the feelings of people that absolutely do not deserve the smoke? You shouldn't. It's that simple. I know. We all did this in 20 to 21. We learned this. We proved we could sacrifice for each other. And I think it's always, I think I kind of look at this as, yeah, I look at that period of time and I go, for a moment there, we showed that we can work collectively, that we can put the collective's interests above just our own. And I think being alive, living in this world, it is a constant test to see how we can prove our humanity, how we rise to the occasion to treat one another as human beings. And I think we always need to be striving for collectivism. We know we have to burn the individualism out of us. And it's not, it's a test. I do think the great test in life is how we treat our fellow human beings and how our actions in life, is it all driven just by purely individualistic kind of selfish desires, or do we recognize our place in the collective? Individualism is what tears the humanity out of us. Yes. And everyone, you know, within the collective, we are all individuals. And these are decisions that we have to be making for ourselves as individuals who are a part of the collective, because as individuals, we all have to choose. We have to choose each other over just ourselves. Blah Spam, thank you for the gifted. Alexandra, thank you for the 7 months. Deanie, thank you for the bits. Kitsy Cat, thank you for the 13 months. We need to keep both in mind. All humans matter, so both parts matter. We need self-differentiation from systems while being able to collaborate and connect. Everything's connected and impacts each other. It's either an instant defensive behavior from Western leftists, especially white men, or it is their innate need to educate people who know more than they ever have. This is the most common experience of Black and brown chatters, trans chatters, disabled chatters. This is so common that many of us have simply left these communities because it feels like talking to a wall. Yeah, and here's how I think. Here's how I think people who, well, let's say specifically leftist streamers who have, you know, who have formed communities over our shared values and our shared ideas. You are not going to be perfect. Nobody is perfect. Nobody is asking you to be perfect. I will never achieve perfection, and I place trust in people in my community that they don't expect me to be perfect. But I think it's as simple as you just always try your best. You just try your best. You try to always demonstrate that you are listening to the groups who are affected in ways that you are not. You know, we're all learning from each other. That's an important thing, is even when you are the streamer who's in charge of the community, it's supposed to be that we're still all learning from one another, because I am limited by my lived experiences. I am limited by just, by who I am or who I am not. And so I just, every day I'm like, I'm just going to try my best. I'm just going to try my best, you know, to be a decent human being, to show people that I do care, that I always try as best as I can to be in solidarity and, you know, have hard conversations when you need to. Just be decent to each other and more mindful. Yes, I think it's moving through this world with mindfulness, you know, engaging in a way where you are considering how your actions affect people. Be good to each other, my dudes. Be good to each other, my dudes. Okay. All right, let's talk about George Clooney. George Clooney says CBS and ABC should have told Trump to go fuck yourself rather than settle lawsuits. George Clooney, who has recently become a citizen of France. Railing against Barry Weiss, the anti-woke founder of the Free Press, recently installed by Paramount chief David Ellison to lead CBS News, the Oscar-winning actor also warned that she is dismantling the Tiffany Network. I am worried about how we inform ourselves and how we're going to discern reality without a functioning press. Clooney told Variety in a wide-ranging interview. The Independent has contacted CBS News and ABC News for a comment. So George Clooney is saying, he's saying that these legacy media outlets should not have capitulated to Trump, and that Barry Weiss is bad for business. Barry Weiss is bad for this country. Barry Weiss is bad for business. And it's interesting because I saw this and I thought about this piece that came out in New York Mag. And I don't know if anybody read this. Barry Weiss left New York 5 years ago under a cloud of infamy. Her exile in Hollywood paved the way for a triumphant return. And notably, a lot of celebrities have not really said anything about the Barry Weiss Ellison takeover. There was some noise around the potential sale of Warner Brothers Discovery to either Netflix or Paramount. But for the most part, Barry Weiss kind of seems to be one of those people that somehow first wormed her way into New York society. And then after she left New York, after she so bravely quit the New York Times, she went to Hollywood. And let me read this piece to you, because I think it's not only a reminder that a lot of these people in Hollywood, a lot of these rich, well-connected, privileged folks in Hollywood are aligned with right-wing interests. And it's a big club. We just ain't in it. But also because Barry Weiss is a person that keeps failing upwards. Barry Weiss does not have charm. She does not have talent. She is not somebody who is an actual superstar. For better or for worse, right? Despite her politics, there are people on the right who I will recognize. Yeah, they're a star. They just are really good at what they do. So I can't understand how someone like Barry Weiss, actually I can. Like at first I was like, I can't understand how Barry Weiss has all of these celebrities just kneeling at her feet, praising her. But then I remind myself that a lot of these rich people, a lot of these rich, famous people, they're not very bright. And first and foremost, they care about their money. They care about their personal interests. And the one thing that Barry knows how to do is to tell people like that exactly what they want to hear. She's a gold medalist ass kisser. She truly is a gold medalist ass kisser. All right. So in 2021, the Hollywood producer Brian Grazer was on a bike trip in South America with some friends, including media mogul Barry Diller, former Allen & Company president Herbert Allen Jr., and former Activision chief Bobby Kotick. A registered Democrat at the time, Grazer was expressing his frustration with the woke fever gripping the country and was considering holding a salon at his Santa Monica home to discuss the issue. I am so fucking sick and tired of this. of the language around people like fighting for a more progressive society and it being treated like a disease, it being treated like it being treated like an airborne illness. Woke fever has gripped the country, and I think what it is these people, these rich, privileged, famous, connected people, not liking change. They don't want to. They don't want to have to feel like they are catering towards a culture that is pushing us to be better, that is pushing us to be more inclusive, to be more progressive. Yes, it very much, they treat it very much so like it is a threat to, it is a threat to their very existence. It is a threat to the world that works so perfectly for them now. It is their status quo. They don't want it to change. And so that is how you end up with these so-called Democrats, right? This liberal Hollywood aligning themselves with a person like Bari Weiss, because Bari Weiss comes along and she's like, you're right. Woke fever is gripping this country. Things are out of control. We need to stop this before it gets worse. And here's what my plan is. Allen suggested Grazier get in touch with his son, Herb Allen III, who now runs the family's boutique investment bank, which is known for its billionaire-heavy media tech confab held each year in Sun Valley, Idaho. When Grazier spoke to the younger Allen, he said, "You should talk to Bari Weiss." Weiss had recently arrived in Los Angeles from New York, a city she'd left behind in 2020 along with her job editing and writing for the New York Times opinion section. Although Weiss technically left of her own volition, blasting the paper for its illiberal environment, in her publicly posted resignation letter, it felt as though she had been hounded out in the wake of the Tom Cotton op-ed fiasco, during which her boss, James Bennett, had been forced to step down amid a newsroom revolt. Grazier invited Weiss and her partner, the then Times journalist Nellie Bowles, to his home, as well as some friends, including Kotick, New England Patriots owner Robert Kraft, and Warner Brothers Discovery CEO and president David Zaslav. Weiss knew Kraft only vaguely through Columbia Hillel and didn't recognize Zaslav at all. She had never met Kotick, who would become a key investor in the Free Press, the news and opinion site that she and Bowles would launch on Substack in 2022. But her naivete was part of her charm. Yeah, I love how naivete is just another word for her being stupid, as was her evident talent. She struck me as someone with money-making DNA, said Kotick. In the years since, Weiss, now 41, has gone from meeting moguls to becoming one. She turned her anti-woke, anti-elite, and often MAGA anti-elite when it's like all these people are exactly the definition of elite. How are you anti-elite when you are billionaires, when you are, in the company of CEOs of New England Patriots owner Robert Kraft, of, some of those powerful executives and creatives in Hollywood. Yeah, it's giving anti-elite. Her anti-woke, anti-elite, and often MAGA-tolerant newsletter into a fully fledged media company, then sold it in October for $150 million to David Ellison, the 42-year-old chairman of newly consolidated Paramount Skydance. As part of the deal, Weiss became the editor-in-chief of CBS News, the kind of legacy outlet she burnished her name railing against. Only a few years earlier, as a mid-level editor at the Times, Weiss had expressed anxiety to colleagues about asking for a $10,000 raise. Now she's returned to New York as one of the most powerful and well-remunerated people in all of media. Coming out west to get your fortune is kind of a time-worn tradition, a friend of Weiss's said. But as Broadway producer and media strategist Alex Levy, another friend, put it, Barry did not set out to get rich. She set out to make an impact, and the rich is just incidental to that. Yeah, I'm so sure. I'm so sure that Barry Weiss getting $150 million for free press is just, that's just an extra perk. That's not what that's not what I care about. And money is not important to me. It's just incidental. The move to LA was essential to Weiss's reinvention. If New Yorkers had cast her out under a hail of jeers, Angelenos embraced Weiss for a variety of reasons, not least because in this industry town, journalists are exotic animals. You go to a dinner and you're automatically the most interesting thing in the room because you don't do the thing that they do, said one LA-based writer. But her main appeal was politics. While the kings of Hollywood were struggling to understand the activist energy and eat the rich mentality infiltrating their studio lots and workplaces, Weiss, a Columbia-educated, Times-credentialed gay woman who cried when Donald Trump was first elected, validated their concerns that this had all gone too far. People wanted her at their dinners and events. She kind of became this party trick for wealthy West Side executives who wanted to have a certain kind of conversation that they thought they couldn't have in public, said one media executive. Thank you, anonymous gifter. Ja Wangnan, thank you for the tier 1. So just bear in mind, reading through this article, that these people are not they're not great geniuses. Okay. These people are not in a higher position than you in life because of any merit, because they are somehow intellectually superior. No, they are greedy. They are rich and want to ensure that their world never changes, and they are happy to uplift someone like Barry Weiss, who comes along and kisses their ass. Pledging to support the free press, whether or not they actually read it, became a statement in and of itself for erstwhile liberals in California dismayed by what they saw emanating from the woke centers of New York and Washington, D.C. The allegiance to Weiss only deepened after October 7th, 2023, when pro-Israel contingents grew even more exasperated with the mainstream media for failing to cover the subsequent war to their liking. Yeah, because you know how the mainstream media is just so goddamn pro-Palestine. They were just hating on Israel in a way that was so deeply unfair. It was so one-sided in favor of the Palestinian side. As always, Weiss, a proud Zionist who quite literally wrote the book on anti-Semitism a few years earlier, was perfectly positioned to fill the void. As always in life, you need a little luck, said an entertainment executive. What happened with her is the zeitgeist aligned with what she's good at. Barry, to her credit, didn't have an institution behind her. She created a vehicle. No, she did not. What the fuck are we talking about here? This is also so obnoxious because they want us to believe that Barry is some unique individual, that she is, without the power of the establishment, a person who has reached such great heights. And it's like, no, dude, she had billionaires backing her. What are you talking about? She doesn't have institutional support. She's a roller skate for the rich. She came along and was like, I am your loyal servant. I am here to ensure that your interests are served. She was basically created in a lab to do propaganda. I know. Ellison is a vocal supporter of Israel who has increasingly relied on his allies in Trump world to muscle through his deals, and his decision to tap someone with zero experience running a television network has unnerved staffers at CBS who fear Weiss will remake the venerable news division in the Free Press's image. She's already orchestrated a 60 Minutes interview with Trump months after the president successfully sued the show's parent company on flimsy claims of deception, and held a town hall with Erica Kirk. That was a fucking bomb. The widow of slain conservative activist Charlie Kirk. Weiss conducted the town hall herself, suggesting she will be an on-air persona as well as an executive, and people went boo. She has already overseen widespread layoffs at the company and the departure of several longtime anchors and elevated Tony DeCupio, a morning show host best known for tense exchange with Ta-Nehisi Coates about Israel. Yes, when Ta-Nehisi Coates went, wow, that was really racist. But as many in CBS privately acknowledge, the success of the network as television products die off is almost beside the point. Weiss represents the triumph of an avenging anti-woke class. Yeah, we have a new class has entered the system. It's the anti-woke class. I'll never forget the clip of her talking about how she may be gay, but more important thing for them all to fight for is making sure the rich don't pay fuck all in taxes. Yeah. She's like, look, I know a lot of you hate the gays, and I'm with you because as a gay woman, the only thing I care about is that we don't pay anything in taxes. Me being gay means absolutely nothing whatsoever. I'm just like the rest of you. These poor gays can go to hell. Weiss's comeback reveals where its most influential power base is located, not in Dime Square, magnified Washington, or even the American heartland, but the hills of Hollywood. Weiss's initial entry to Hollywood came years earlier, not long after Bennett hired her from the Wall Street Journal in 2017 to help expand the opinion section's intellectual diversity. A much discussed essay defending the comedian Aziz Ansari, which I have covered on stream before, and it was embarrassing. The opinion piece that Barry Weiss wrote to defend Aziz Ansari is it's so embarrassing. If she was a woman capable of feeling shame, she should be filled with it. Aziz Ansari, who'd been accused of inappropriate behavior with women, and she got the attention of Bill Maher. Of course, I read that column and said, I'm going to make her famous. And I did. He said later, Maher had her on his HBO talk show 3 times that year and brought her to an exclusive pre-awards show party at the house of CAA head Brian Lord. When Weiss released her book, How to Fight Anti-Semitism, in 2019, she celebrated with a party hosted by former HBO CEO Richard Plepler in a back room at the Lambs Club. Weiss's aunt was there, so was Sherry Redstone. It's a big club, and you and me and everyone in here ain't in it. Weiss was known as a deft and hungry operator in New York, but her move to LA introduced her to people different from the A.G. Sulzbergers of this world. In 2021, at Bull's urging, she began a Substack called Common Sense and a podcast called Honestly, whose early guests included Mark Cuban, Eric Schmidt, and Kim Kardashian. She had chatted with Kardashian at one of Grazier's salons. Kardashian described it as a cancel culture dinner, events where Weiss, a fish out of water in her platform Tivas, hobnobbed with the likes of Leonardo DiCaprio, Naomi Campbell, and Sacha Baron Cohen as they discussed the stifling of debate. The true problem in society is that we wealthy, famous, elite individuals just have no freedom to say what we want anymore. Debate has been stifled. It's like, you motherfuckers were never capable of debate. Who do you think you are? What do you mean debate has been stifled? What? It's that you can't be right-wing assholes. You can't build your fancy hotels in Israel without people, without any backlash to it. You can't talk about an entire group of human beings as subhuman without people calling you out for that. You can't be a person who has, presented themselves as some type of activist, but their behavior, their behaviors in their personal lives is anything but. She was much more cerebral, intellectually curious, and well-read than most people in LA, said the entertainment executive. I am here to remind you for the 1,000th time, the bar is not high at all. For Bari Weiss to be more cerebral, intellectually curious, and well-read than most people in LA, and we're talking about what? Leo, Sacha Baron Cohen, Kim Kardashian, Mark Cuban, you know, these celebrities. For Bari Weiss to be above where they are is not an indictment, is not like an indication that Bari Weiss is some genius, that she's some like unique genius. It's an indication that the rest of these people are really quite stupid, that they are, by belonging to this world that so few belong to, it has stifled them, implying that celebs can read. Yeah. When you are this rich, when you are this famous, when everything is given to you, when you no longer have any type of normal existence, you can become very stifled. There's no reason for you. There's no reason for you to be intellectually curious. There's no reason for you to be a well-read person. You don't have to do anything except enjoy the very luxurious lifestyle that you live. It also helped that the town's politics, while famously progressive, were not rigidly defined. People are a little more politically open, maybe because they're less politically dug in or connected, said a longtime associate of Weiss's. There's a geographic distance. We don't live on that Washington-New York time zone. People saw her and Bowles as a dynamic duo and liked having them around. In person, Weiss is self-deprecating and warm. This is the most blowing smoke up Bari Weiss's ass article. This piece in the New York Mag that is trying to gaslight us into believing that Bari Weiss is like some charming, awesome person. Bari Weiss remembered details about people she hasn't seen in months or years. What you hear on the podcast is how she talks at a dinner party. She's very knowledgeable. She can disagree. She can express a unique point of view without insulting someone, and everyone can feel good afterwards, said the longtime associate. She's the opposite of socially awkward. She's really quite socially gifted. Bowles has a similar verve and sense of humor, but she doesn't want the power or the fame, a friend said. Nellie is Bari's biggest hype woman. There is something that I learned recently, and hold on a second. There is some tea that I became aware of recently, having to do with Bari Weiss and her wife, Nellie Bowles. And what I will say is, it seems to be the case, allegedly, that Bari is quite abusive, that she essentially has forced her wife into a trad wifey position. And there's also something, allegedly about her wife, who was maybe potentially transitioning before she met Barry. And then that was forced out of her. And it seems, this is me coming to my conclusion. This is me just kind of reading things and giving you my opinion that Barry forced Nellie Bowles, her wife, into this like turf trad wife role and is not allowing her to actually be who she is. And that is real fucked up. And it also feels like absolutely something Barry Weiss would do. And I think she is an evil person. I think Barry Weiss is evil. I think she's abusive. I think that there are probably a lot of stories out there, ones that you will not hear in this New York Mag puff piece talking about how popular Barry Weiss is in Hollywood. I am sure that people have already shared stories about how much she fucking sucks. But anyway, she's disgusting. She is disgusting. She got Rafat Al-Arir and his entire family murdered. Yes, she's an evil person. She is not self-deprecating and warm and charming, and she's an opportunist, and she has continuously failed upwards because she tells rich people what they want to hear. And rich people are not smart, all right? It's not hard. It is not hard to know the right things to say to billionaires, to have them be like, you know what? This person's great. I'm going to invest 150 million, you know what I mean? I'm going to give them millions of dollars. Odious little creature. Yes, odious is a very good word that keeps popping up in the chat these days. Odious. Just like every other evil fuck, she's a fucking loser. Mm-hmm. My favorite Barry piece is her "What Did You Do This Summer?" 7th grade essay about her Australian vacation she published as an op-ed in the Times. I pray for the day. I pray and hope and wish and dream of the day that Barry Weiss and all these people around her no longer can exercise this power that they do not deserve, that they abuse, that they have tricked people into believing that they are morally and intellectually superior and therefore should absolutely be in the positions that they're in. She's legit one of the most mediocre losers whose entire career is based on the fact that she's a Zionist extremist and that she sucks up to billionaires. She really is so fucking mid. She is definitionally mediocre, definitionally mid. And that's what's so, that's like the whole, that's like the joke of it too, because she is not some evil genius. She is not some person who has horrible politics, but you understand like how she reached superstar status. Gormless behavior. Oh, gormless is such a good word. Ooh. Let's bring gormless. Let's bring gormless into our vocabularies. Gormless. Anyway, back to talking about Nellie Bowles. Nellie, who's Barry's biggest hype woman. Jaded insiders were taken with her Alice in Wonderland-like sense of awe at her changing life as she found herself at a screening at Gwyneth Paltrow's house alongside Universal Studio boss Donna Langley and top producers. Oh, it's so easy to be a part of these elite circles when you kiss the right people's asses. These disillusioned bigwigs saw her as the rare young person with the guts to push back against what they perceived as the excesses of the left. It was a breath of fresh air for someone to say, hey, it's not crazy if you don't use pronouns in your email. Wow, so freeing. What a breath of fresh air. Hey, by the way, it's totally cool. It's totally cool if you don't use pronouns in your email. You're safe here. And it's not crazy if you don't call everything white supremacy, said Matthew Rosenberg, a friend and former Times colleague. And it was crucial that she was not associated with Fox News or the fringe right. She was the only person doing it who wasn't out of their fucking mind, as an LA-based journalist put it. No one wanted to invite Candace Owens to dinner at Ted Sarandis' house. Weiss was so ubiquitous that she became a punchline on Curb Your Enthusiasm. Like, at least there was one person in Hollywood who saw exactly who Barry Weiss was. Thank you, Larry David. Come for Shabbos dinner one of these weekends, a Hulu exec tells Larry David. We had Barry Weiss last Friday night. She's fantastic. And in the scene, which they don't include in this piece, of course, Larry David shuts the door. Like he slams the door shut. It's so funny because we watched that clip on stream, and I love that that's not what's included here in mentioning this Curb clip. The writer of this piece is trying to make it seem like Barry was so well loved in Hollywood and everyone wanted to meet and hang out with Barry, that she was even mentioned in Curb Your Enthusiasm. Well, what's not mentioned is the fact that Larry David was being very clear in how he felt about Barry Weiss by slamming the door after her name was mentioned. 100,000 subscribers, like, that's a lot. I mean, it's just I want to scream. I want to scream, but I think I talk about this stuff because to make us feel better at how horrible, at how all these horrible people just are running things and just keep failing upwards. To make us feel better about this, it's like, at the very least, we can keep reminding ourselves that it's not because of any genuine merit. It's not because these people are smarter. It's not because they have, they just are superior to us in a way that we could only dream of accomplishing. And I know we know this, but it's like, look, in Hollywood, in politics, in media, this is how it works. When you are a Barry Weiss who just tells powerful rich people what they want to hear, you get to go to Gwyneth Paltrow's house. You get to hang out with David Zasloff, you get $150 million for your shitty Substack. Not gonna lie, it kind of makes me feel worse. Well, oh shit. Yeah, here's the link. And as George Carlin said, it's a big club and you ain't in it. It's a big club and you ain't in it. And this is why, too, this is why people should not worship celebrities. They should not look at their faves in Hollywood and understand them, well, most of them, to be anything other than the class they belong to. Okay? Remember that rich people always have class solidarity. They always have class solidarity. They will always ensure that their interests are protected. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if they're on the right. It doesn't matter if they're like woke liberals, allegedly, right? You know, liberal Hollywood. They are all on the same team. They're all on the same team. Don Jenny, thank you for the 10 gifted subs. Holy moly. By 2022, Common Sense had amassed more than 100,000 subscribers. Herb Allen III, an avid Common Sense reader who'd been texting friends with Weiss since 2020 and had invited her to lunch with his wife, asked her to come to Sun Valley that year. The retreat, known as Summer Camp for Billionaires, has been around since 1983. Corporate executives, media, and tech elites had political leaders descend on the Idaho resort town for 4 days of panel discussions, schmoozing, and deal-making. No press allowed except for a short list of journalists invited as guests or panel moderators such as Andrew Ross Sorkin, Anderson Cooper, and in 2022, Barry Weiss. She was on stage with writers Coleman Hughes and Douglas Murray moderating a discussion on the state of the West. At one point, Axel Springer CEO Matthias Dopfner stood up and declared himself a fan of hers. She deepened relationships with tycoons she had already met and formed new ties, including with Bob Mylod, a Midwestern venture capitalist who would become one of the largest personal investors in the Free Press, the chair of its board, and Weiss's business sensei. Weiss started thinking bigger. She spoke of the potential for a centrist media company, not unlike what Ben Shapiro had created for the New Right. She talked about publishing books and distributing films that others were too cowardly to get behind. She raised a few $1 million in a family and friends funding round that allowed her to hire a handful of full-time staffers. Early investors included venture capitalist Mark Andreessen and David Sachs, hedge fund investor Sir Paul Marshall, Kotick, Mylod, and Allen III. Also, yeah, centrist, aka just right wing. As if there's some difference. In December 2022, Weiss got a text from Elon Musk. The new owner of Twitter asked if she was interested in viewing internal documents that later came to be known as the Twitter files. The much-hyped reports did not quite succeed in showing how the social media company had been captured by woke interests, but Weiss correctly anticipated that they would get a lot of attention and moved up the launch of the Free Press to coincide with the reporting. The outlet introduced itself as committed to liberal principles of free speech and open inquiry that had been abandoned by the mainstream press. You won't agree with everything you read or hear from the Free Press, and we think that's exactly the point. It immediately became apparent that readers were eager for what Weiss was selling, even if the content often strayed into defenses of illiberal causes and positions. She commissioned pieces and wrote pieces herself that clearly resonated, said former NBC News president Noah Oppenheim, an early advisor. If that point of view was readily available elsewhere, nobody would have paid any attention. She obviously identified a real space in the market. The Free Press also generated a positive feedback loop among Weiss's network of wealthy supporters, magnifying her reach and influence. The unifying ideology of the Free Press is that it's all things a rich person would agree with, said a New York-based media operator. Thanks. Finally, somebody is fucking saying it. The first quote I have seen in this piece that is actually accurate. The unifying ideology of the free press is that it's all things a rich person would agree with. Netflix CEO Ted Sarandos, who met Weiss at a dinner party held by former agent and super connector Michael Kives, told her he liked her podcast series, The Witch Trials of J.K. Rowling. At an event at Grazier's house, Katy Perry told Weiss that she was a reader. Katy Perry reading the free press. Oh my God. Yeah. You don't say. You know, nothing should shock you anymore. Nothing should shock you anymore. Katy Perry being a fan of the free press, what the hell, sure. The free press was her inspiration for Woman's World. Yeah, Barry Weiss was who she thought about when she was thinking, it's a woman's world. I'm surprised Barry Weiss wasn't in the music video. I'm surprised. Barry is my muse. Barry Weiss is my muse. So anyway, Katy Perry, big fan of free press. Her intended appeal was to not just be a mouthpiece for the elites of the East and West Coast, but at the end of the day, the masters of the universe. That's whose support actually spreads things, said a former advisor to the company. One thing I want to say too, since we've just been talking a lot about MAGA Minaj, we've been talking about Nicki Minaj going full MAGA, being at Toilet Paper USA. I think what's important to understand is that there are more celebrities, and this is something I have been talking about since Trump 2.0, since Trump 2.0 has happened. Okay, the second coming of Donald Trump. There has been this emboldening of right-wing culture, ideology, and a lot of celebrities who in the past were speaking out against Donald Trump now aren't saying anything, either because they don't want to jeopardize their careers, their positions, etc., or because more and more people have embraced this anti-woke, pro-freedom, which is just right-wing. Like these are all buzzwords. These are all buzzwords, but we know that this is just right-wing. This is just right-wing politics. And I think a lot of these celebrities, like Katy Perry, for instance, isn't going to take the steps that Nicki Minaj took and go full explicitly, outwardly MAGA. She's not going to be at on stage with Erica Kirk, but they're like right behind that. They're just trying to be sneakier about it. Yeah, they're kind of trying to teeter the line. But a lot of these people, I genuinely think it's the same thing with Nicki, that they are tired of like people criticizing them. They don't want to have to be accountable for anything. They don't want to have to worry that like, oh, their support of an abuser is going to cause backlash. Like they genuinely want the freedom to have no morals whatsoever, especially if like they're an artist, they're a celebrity who's pretended to be progressive, who's like, oh, I love the gays, oh, I am, I'm a person who's just like the rest of you. And the truth is that a lot of them actually don't want to be held accountable for anything. They are narcissists. They have fragile glass egos. They believe that they're suffering for as a result of a culture that has become quote unquote woke. and that it's having a, that it's having a negative effect. It's to the detriment of people in Hollywood who are suffering because there are consequences to actions. Glossamer, thank you for the Prime. Flex, thank you for the 5 months. They were like, I want to know who's behind this, said Jesse Jacobs, an advisor to Weiss and co-founder and partner of the Chernin Group, which has invested in emerging media companies like Barstool Sports and Hello Sunshine. Then they meet that person, and not only is it a message they agree with when they consume it, but it's a person that they believe in and are excited to get behind. He added, we've all had conversations where we're like, I want this meeting to end. This is really fucking boring. You sit down with her and it's like, I could sit here for as long as you want. Weiss and Bowles, who got married in 2021 and have since had 2 children, now spend most Friday nights hosting Shabbat dinners at their Larchmont bungalow with a rotating cast of guests. Their close social circle became a coterie of LA-based journalists, screenwriters, and other industry folks, including Euphoria creator Sam Levinson, Kives, and WME partner Roger Green. Sam Levinson continuing to be the fucking worst. Sam Levinson, you will pay for your crimes. By September 2023, the Free Press had more than 330,000 subscribers, about 50,000 of whom were paying, generating $5.2 million in revenue. Then October 7th happened. Weiss immediately leaned into charges that media coverage of the war was tainted by anti-Semitism. You are about to withstand a barrage of lies about the war that broke out today in Israel, she wrote in her first column after the attack. Turn on cable news and you can hear some of them right now. A few days after the attack, hedge fund billionaire Dan Loeb held a private event at his home in Bel Air to discuss anti-Semitism, where attendees, including Bob Iger and MRC studio co-head Modi Weissek, listened to Weiss in conversation with Tablet magazine founder Alana Newhouse. Guests dined on salmon and asparagus. It is the juxtaposition here of these wealthy, elite, celebrities, billionaires, CEOs, high-powered executives meeting at a mansion in Bel Air, dining on salmon and asparagus, talking about how the real issue here is anti-Semitism. As we know, juxtaposing that with what has been occurring to the people of Palestine. It is so fucking vile. It is sickening. It just once again makes me want to scream. Yeah, truly nauseating. Palestinians who immediately after October 7th were already facing a genocidal Israel, hell-bent on finally wiping them from existence. And you have these rich people in Bel Air, one of the most expensive areas of the country, dining on salmon and asparagus. Oh, Chris Pine is there. Bob Iger is there. All these A-list writers who've won Oscars. It's the who's who. And all anyone wants to do is talk to Bari Weiss. It felt like a tide had shifted and she'd leveled up. LA is home to the second biggest Jewish community in the US. Yeah, but notice again that and for the zillionth time, Zionism is not synonymous with being Jewish. You have plenty of people who are at something like this Bel Air meeting on anti-Semitism who are not Jewish, who are simply members who belong to the ruling class, who are powerful and wealthy, and those interests align with Israel. And also, a lot of people in Hollywood are fucking stupid, okay? They are ignorant, they're stupid, they have no idea what's going on. They are just going to align themselves with what has always been the status quo, especially as blacklists started happening in Hollywood. We saw people who were suffering the consequences of advocating for the safety and liberation of Palestinians. We saw what happened to them. And then those blacklists became more behind the scenes. It was behind more of smoke and mirrors. It wasn't so out in the open. And it created this environment of fear. And anyway, it is something where there now today are a lot of people who have shifted towards Palestine, who have broken free of the pro-Israel propaganda that here in the United States of America we have been subjected to for decades. But people in power, like in the government, like in media, like in Hollywood, align themselves with fascism, and that includes supporting Israel. So I think that's the thing is, you know, with the perception of Hollywood being liberal, with the perception of Hollywood being liberal, with a lot of celebrities now supporting Palestine, the issue is still that the people and the institutions and the the ruling class in this country that has all the wealth and all the power, they support they support Israel. They are more and more showing that they support Donald Trump, that they are just fully aligning with every position you can have that is fascist. And to be, thank you for the 37 months. The Free Press was, Chris Pine is there. Bob Iger is there. All anyone wants to do is talk to Barry Weiss. This war has been the most divisive issue tearing apart Hollywood, said a media exec. No event turned certain pockets of Hollywood more right-leaning than that. The Free Press was publishing articles like Why My Generation Hates Jews, citing polling that showed young people siding with Hamas, and the American multimillionaire Marxists funding pro-Palestinian rage. Who are these multimillionaire Marxists? Is it Hassan Piker? It resonated. The site's traffic and subscriptions surged in October and November, as did downloads of the Honestly podcast. It gave people cover. You could send her stuff around even if you wouldn't be comfortable saying those things yourself, said the media executive. In 2 years, Weiss would have more than 136,000 paying subscribers, at least 10 million in annual subscription fees alone. In 2024, Weiss gave a lecture at 92 New York, where one of her friends in attendance, Jerry Seinfeld, was heckled by anti-Israel protesters, an experience that they later chuckled about on her podcast. She interviewed Jonathan Haidt, that fucking lion-ass propagandist, about his new book in Grazier's living room alongside Tom Hanks, Lauren Sanchez, now Lauren Sanchez Bezos, and Kim Kardashian. And in the same month, bonded with Sheryl Sandberg over their belief that the American left had downplayed and even fomented anti-Semitism. A few months later, she was introduced to Jeff Bezos on a text chain with Kives. That fall, the Free Press raised about $15 million in its first formal funding round, valuing it at more than $100 million. New investors included Karen Seidman Becker, the co-founder and CEO of Clear, former Goldman Sachs CEO Lloyd Blankfein, and former Starbucks CEO Howard Schultz. Yeah, Barry Weiss, who is so emblematic of the anti-elite, anti-establishment, when she's just got all of these CEOs and billionaires behind her. The business was taking off, and now it was time to return east. Thanks, Hollywood. 6 weeks after Bowles gave birth to their second child, the couple moved into a fully furnished sublet uptown. In December 2024, David Ellison sent Weiss an email. She had not encountered Ellison during her time in LA, but he had clearly absorbed what Weiss stood for and why her brand was so popular with his California peers, and he expressed admiration for her work. As the year came to a close, Ellison and Weiss met at a restaurant in New York. His movie studio, Skydance, was seeking to merge with Paramount, the parent company of CBS, and he wanted to talk about the possibility of recruiting Weiss to work with the news network in some capacity. By early 2025, interest was coming from other places as well. Among them was Murdoch World. Weiss had been to Lachlan Murdoch's house a couple times when she lived in LA, and his wife Sarah is a Free Press superfan. Axel Springer's Daphner was also poking around. In June, Weiss and Bowles headed to Italy to attend Bezos and Sanchez's wedding. I must have missed that Barry Weiss was one of the guests. Amongst Leo DiCaprio, the Kardashians, Sydney Sweeney. Somehow missed that Barry Weiss and her wife were also at Jeff Bezos' wedding. At this point, Ellison's offer was the only real opportunity she was entertaining. A few weeks later, Weiss returned to Sun Valley, where she hammered out the sale with Ellison. She would report directly to Ellison, not to CBS News CEO George Cheeks, CBS News President Tom Sobrowski, or Paramount President Jeff Shell. In exchange, Ellison would signal with a single stroke that the new CBS News was pro-Israel, anti-woke, and MAGA amenable, all attributes that Weiss spent years cultivating in LA and that could come in handy in Ellison's dealings with the Trump administration. In his attempt to acquire Warner Brothers Discovery, which owns CNN, Ellison reportedly told Trump he would overhaul the cable news network, a process that is already underway at CBS. The deal, for around $150 million in cash and Paramount stock, closed in October. Weiss signed the paperwork on a Sunday, celebrating over Zabar's at home alongside Bowles, her sister Susie, some close colleagues, and a few bankers and lawyers. The next day, Weiss met with her staff at the Free Press office. Then she got in a black Cadillac and headed to the CBS Broadcast Center at the top of an industry that since the heady days of 2020 has been forced to kneel in ways big and small to the victors of the culture wars. You know the funniest thing about this? So this piece came out in December, and this obviously is written in a way to make Barry Weiss seem unstoppable, that she is just this unbelievable, once-in-a-generation talent, genius, just superstar. And you look at what she's done with CBS News so far. You look at what she's done with CBS News, this town hall with Erica Kirk that fucking bombed. Her trying to make Erica Kirk a thing, and people are just not buying it. CBS News viewers who have left because of the takeover, and then the new audience they're trying to appeal to, who, sorry, they're not into somebody who looks like Barry Weiss. They are not the audience that they are trying to cater to. Do not look at someone like Barry Weiss and go, you know what? That's a sexy lady that I can get behind. They don't. Barry Weiss has so far proven that her short tenure in running the CBS newsroom has been pretty much a disaster. She's not interesting in front of the camera. She doesn't know what the fuck she's doing in running a newsroom. She's showing that with all the billionaires and CEOs and celebrities and rich and famous and elites that she has in her pocket, that people, the public, actually are not that interested in what she has to offer them at CBS. They're like, she's boring. She's boring. I would rather look at, my blonde, blue-eyed, heavily made up Fox News Fox News host. You know what I'm saying by that? It's like CBS going right wing and signaling that they are here for MAGA, that they're like team Donald Trump. That crowd that they are attempting to cater towards, thinking that they will be bringing in all of these right-wing voters, you know, people with right-wing politics, they're not interested in a Barry Weiss. Yeah, they already have Fox. They're like, we don't need Diet Fox. We don't need Diet Jubilee. No amount of money, no amount of connections can make Barry Weiss a genuine talent, can make her somebody who's like, yeah, she's got the juice and the sauce. They're trying to use her to infiltrate liberal circles. But this is what I'm trying to impress upon you is for all of the right wing wailing about how Hollywood is just so woke, about all these liberal elites. A lot of these people are just right wing. A lot of these liberals in Hollywood, the most important thing to know about them is that they are rich and they are self-serving and they are above everything else, you know, wanting to ensure that their class interests are protected. So that's the truth of it. And they are genocide supporting. Yes. Now, it's a mix of people who are like diehard Zionists, you know, hell yeah, hoorah, Israel. And then others who are just fucking ignorant and are just siding with power, just don't care. Anyway, except for George Clooney, except for Larry David. And this all started because I was like, George Clooney is calling out Barry Weiss and saying that she's dismantling the network. And so I'm like, hey, at least we've got a couple celebs here who have not bought into the Barry Weiss shtick. My dinner with Barry. John Cusack's amazing. Yeah, he's super rad. I don't really look at him though as like a celebrity in Hollywood. At least they'll go broke winning the culture war. Well, we can only hope. Mark Ruffalo. No, there are a lot of celebrities who have been openly pro-Palestine. I'm more so referencing in relation to this piece that I just read that named a lot of names, a lot of very powerful executives, CEOs, Katy Perry, who's the biggest fan of free press, and looking at how somebody like Barry Weiss very easily wormed her way into these circles. Just in the same way she did in media, just in the same way she did in politics. It's like, there's no difference between wealthy elites in Hollywood, you know, like a Ted Sarandis or, you know, any of the other names that were mentioned here. And then in politics, in media, in finance, in tech, they are all in the same club. It's like when you see Oprah at Jeff Bezos's wedding alongside right-wing figures. It's like, they don't care. At the end of the day, there's no genuine separation from them. It's just a name. You know, one of them might say they're centrist, one of them might say they're liberal, one of them might say that they might say they're MAGA, but they're in solidarity with one another. People give celebs way too much credence in political stances because their influence is so driving in culture and life. And I say all the time, with exceptions, most celebrities genuinely are idiots and they are ignorant and they don't give a shit. They don't care because they don't need to. I think it's hard to imagine because we will never understand this world. Like, we'll never be a part of it. But when you are that famous, when you are that wealthy, when you are that connected, everything in life is given to you. You no longer, it's a totally different world. It is a completely different world. And it's amazing when you have someone who's a part of that world who still has like a tether to reality, who still has a semblance of normalcy, who hasn't lost touch, because you think about it and it's like, yeah, losing touch kind of feels guaranteed. How is somebody in a position like that at all going to be relatable, at all going to have the same concerns that most people in this world have? Rich people are mad weird. Yes, especially. Well, I was going to say, I mean, people who have just been rich their entire lives because they don't know anything else. But then you got weirdos who like become rich. My dad is super wealthy. He's donated so much to Republicans over my lifetime, and he still doesn't back down. All his kids are gay and one is trans. All his kids are gay and one is trans. That's amazing. Yeah, I've shared a lot of stories of super rich and famous people that I've encountered, and they are not normal. They're not normal. They haven't been for a long time, if ever. And it's because they exist in a totally different world. They exist in a totally different world. And there are exceptions to the rule, but I think the rule is that if someone is rich and famous, they're probably a freak. They're probably kind of awful. How much could a banana cost, Michael? $10? We had to have dinner with George Bush. That's crazy. That is some crazy lore. They date each other, reproduce with each other, hang out with each other, etc. It's their own word. Yes. And people will always be surprised when they're like, what? This politician or like this famous news anchor, or this shitty journalist hanging out with some big name in Hollywood. It's like, yes, because these elite circles, it's a club. It's a club and we're not in it. Elijah Wood's cameo in I Love LA is a perfect example of what you're talking about. Rich people are weird. Yes. And then you have the layer of being rich, and then you have the layer of being famous, because not all rich people are famous. Not all famous people are rich. But then it's like you have rich and famous. It just feels like a double recipe for being a weirdo. I grew up and lived in the most populated area of millionaires in the United States in Michigan. You're painting a lot of broad, inaccurate strokes about traits within this community. That's great that you grew up in the most populated area of millionaires. I'm not talking about people who have like $10 million. Okay. If you think that's who I'm talking about when I talk about like the wealthiest of the wealthy in this country, the most elite of the elites, but also very strange for you to be defending these millionaires you grew up around. And no, I'm not painting broad strokes. But to be clear, I'm not talking about somebody who's like, oh, a wealthy lawyer who you grew up around. And just so you know, I see your collection of millionaires in Michigan, and I raise you the many billionaires, A-list celebrities, and these types of people I'm talking about, who I am certainly not painting broad strokes on. Oh, now are we defending? I'm not defending anyone. Yes, you are. You literally came at me and you said, you're painting a lot of broad, inaccurate, which you spelled incorrectly, inaccurate strokes about traits within this community. Is this your community? Are you getting defensive? You're mad because I am actually accurately pointing out that really rich and really famous people, first of all, they will always protect their class interests. Okay. So if you wonder why you have some liberal billionaire hanging out with some right-wing politician, it's because they're in the same class. All right. It's because they have the same interests that they are seeking to protect. Painting broad and accurate strokes is a compliment. Yes. It must be opposite day. You're confused. Look up West Bloomfield. I'm good. I'm chilling on that. You enjoy doing whatever it is you do. You enjoy doing whatever it is you do here, and I'll keep doing me. How about that? You do you, I'll do me. You're being a little wealthy phobic, sweetie. Sweetie, you're being mean to the billionaires. Sweetie, you're not being nice to the billionaires. Isn't Chatter painting a broad stroke because they're from just one community? I don't understand how we just read through this entire piece in this conversation we're having, and someone, after being a part of this ostensibly, is like, no, you're wrong. After reading this piece that named plenty of names in Hollywood, in media, in politics, in Silicon Valley, and I'm trying to get people to understand how they're all connected, why they're all connected, why, despite whatever on paper they claim their politics to be, at the end of the day, many of them are aligned with one another. Like, it's not. I just keep saying it again. It's big club and we ain't in it. I have to say, Chatter, if now you're referring to billionaires, that's even crazier. It's even crazier to be defending billionaires. You know that, right? You have to know that if there's one thing that's true in life, it's that being a person who defends billionaires is loser-ass behavior, okay? Because somebody who has like $10 million, not at all on the same page as someone who has $1 billion. There is never a need to defend a billionaire. Billionaires should not exist in the first place. So we should not be defending a class of people who should not exist. But Caroline, Elon Musk is so weak and fragile. He's so weak. I have to be kind to him. Must be nice. Must be nice to Elon Musk. Poor little Elon Musk. Poor little Elon Musk. Deacon, thank you for the 28 months. ND, thank you for the 6 months. I went to high school with the richest people in my medium-sized city, and they were not the greatest people, to say the least. Chatter's defensive. Also, is it like... I'm just wasting my breath at this point. I think... No, the last thing I will say is I think people like that chatter come to some conclusion that what we're saying when we're talking about these class divisions, when we're talking about how powerful people, powerful, wealthy people are connected to one another, that what we're saying is that like everyone who has that like everyone who has $1 million or up is the exact same. And then everyone who has like less than $1 million is the exact same. That there's like no, they're like, oh, well, poor people can be assholes too. It's like, yeah, poor people can be assholes too. That's not the same thing as having systemic power, as like having, belonging to a class that puts you in a position where you are running the entire damn show. So it's also something that from a common sense perspective, can you not, like, that's what I keep trying to say. It's like, yes, it's not hard to imagine that somebody who has an unholy amount of wealth and is famous would like lose any sense of normalcy. Like that's not hard to understand. Okay, you're a silly person. I'm done talking to you because you keep talking about psychology. I pointed out your generalization is faulty using wealth and not psychology. I'm actually annoyed now because I'm talking to somebody who is silly. You are a silly, silly person, and I'm done talking to you. Now we're going to talk about Isaiah Whitlock. Isaiah Whitlock Jr., rest in peace. You may recognize from The Wire. You may recognize from Veep. Isaiah Whitlock sadly died at age 71. And his manager, Brian Liebman, shared the news on Instagram, writing, "It is with tremendous sadness that I share the passing of my dear friend and client, Isaiah Whitlock Jr. If you knew him, you loved him. A brilliant actor, an even better person. May his memory forever be a blessing. Our hearts are so broken. He will be very, very missed." Can we just get a collective shit in chat? If you know Isaiah Whitlock Jr., you know that his catchphrase was shit. And that was something that became a part of a lot of his characters. In fact, when he got the role of Clayton Davis or of Clay Davis in The Wire, they had written that into the script. You got to play the clip here. I have a compilation of Senator Clay Davis best quotes from The Wire. Isaiah was such a funny actor. Everything he popped up in. There's even an episode I remember of, I think it's Atlanta. Yeah, it's Atlanta, where he gets like forced into buying a fedora. He was hilarious. He's so funny in Veep. He's incredible as the corrupt senator in The Wire. He's great in Cocaine Bear. He's in The Carmichael Show. He was in a ton. He had a massive resume. He's in Goodfellas. He did a bunch of stuff with Spike Lee.
I am Clay Davis. Oh, they thinking short when they should be thinking long. Shameful.
So he plays a Maryland state senator because, of course, The Wire occurs in Baltimore. And he is known for being corrupt and taking bribes. And apparently the character was based off of a mixture of Maryland and, Maryland, but then specifically Baltimore politicians who were corrupt, who were found out to have been, taking bribes, doing fraud, all that. And somehow he just always worms his way out of trouble.
Shit. Damn right. I mean, this is some shameful shit. I'm gonna bring you along, Strang, but it ain't gonna be an overnight thing.
That's the faucet?
Shit, as far as the federal money's concerned,
Hexing,
it's everything.
thank you for the 27
faucet,
months.
the goose.
Oh, goose.
The one that lays them golden eggs. Look, it takes money to make money, Strang. Otherwise, hell, every pauper be a king. Shit, boy. 20 get you the permits. 5 is for me for bribing these downtown motherfuckers. Herb, will you explain to this motherfucker just what the fuck it is he's doing here? You can tell all of them. Royce, the caucus, all them grasping bitches who we put in every city department. You tell every last one that I do not fall alone. Motherfucker, you need to put his ass on a footpost so far out in the sticks that he's gonna see the Philadelphia cops walking towards him. I'm talking about the people now. Think I'm gonna be the scapegoat for the whole damn machine? Shit. And it's your people up in my shit. Not no feds, not no safe people from Annapolis. It's motherfuckers from my own city.
God, his delivery was just so good.
Yes. Crawl, walk, and then run. I'm out there doing the Lord's work for you, Irv. You know it. Who got that pay raise through the council? Just enough for you to get that new patio, but not enough for that guy from Pittsburgh to take your place. Thinking you can cut Clay loose, huh? Thinking I'm done. I come here to help, but y'all out for blood. I'm not answering no more questions.
Senator, we'd like to talk to you.
Senator, please, over here.
Senator, would you care to make a statement?
Senator, please. Can you comment on the nature of the
over here, Senator. Is it true that you appeared before the grand jury?
Jane, I insisted that I be called. You think I'm going down, don't you? You think I'm done? All y'all ungrateful bitches
So
thinking you
good.
can throw me out the boat.
Clay.
All right? I'm gonna remember this moment, Irv. I'm gonna hold on to this moment. Yeah. Hell and Fear Factor? Oh, shit. Don't even get me started. Boy, I tell you, we bled that motherfucker. And if a jury of my peers, you all, deem it right and true for me to walk out of here an upright and justified man, oh, I ain't gonna lie to you. I'm gonna do the same damn thing tomorrow, and the day after that, and the day after that, until they got me laid out at Marge's funeral home and trucked me off to Mount Auburn. Shit, partner. All you gotta do is show Carcetti.
He said that line so many times. It became like a cultural phenomenon with fans of The Wire, but not just fans of The Wire, because this is something that was brought into other characters of his. And it was so synonymous with Isaiah Whitlock that he actually started, he actually created a line of bobbleheads that are him. And I think the bobbleheads like said the line. They said shit.
Everybody else that they already got the man for the job.
Yeah, so if you hear anybody, if you hear people make reference to shit, that's who this comes from. That was that was part of Isaiah Whitlock's legacy.
Let me tell you, brother. No, pardon, no. Some kind of police shit, hell, I don't know. What the hell is this?
Subpoena for records. Sphinx Club? Man of the year.
What kind of bullshit is this? You people must be out your damn mind. Just take care of your end and let your friends handle theirs.
This is so brain rot, but this edit makes me chuckle every time it pops up. Is it just him saying shit? Oh. I saw so many clips in tribute to him, and it was just compilation after compilation of every time he says shit, and it still didn't cover all of it. Caroline, are you a streamer, journalist, or a celebrity? I am neither. I am what we call a pop culture justice warrior. Ate too much Taco Bell. Shit. All of the above or none of the above? All of the above or none of the above?
Major crimes? Shit. Because if some federal motherfucker comes through the door, I say, hey, it's all in the game. But a city police? Baltimore City? Hell no, can't be happening. Because I know I have raised too much goddamn money for the mayor and his ticket. Hell no, ain't no soul in the world that fucking ungrateful. Let's order.
It's amazing too because, so as I said, he was in a ton of stuff. But his role in The Wire was a career-defining role, what most people probably immediately thought of when they saw the news that he had passed. And he didn't book that role until he was 50, which is wild. So he's just one of those character actors, and this kind of tends to be a thing with character actors, where like they are they're at a later stage in their life when they finally like have the role that just makes them a cultural phenomenon. But yeah, he was 50 when he booked the role in The Wire that really catapulted him into a level of success that he just hadn't been at before. Like character actress Margot Martindale.
I'm hungry enough to eat the horse you rode in on.
If you don't mind, we're a little busy for a sit-down lunch.
Oh, no doubt. Just leave enough for the tab. Money laundering? They gonna come talk to me about money laundering in West Baltimore? Shit. Where do y'all think I'm gonna raise cash for the whole damn ticket? From laundromats and shit? From some tiny-ass Korean groceries? You think I have time to ask a man why he giving me money or where he gets his money from? I'll take any motherfucker's money if he giving it away.
Yeah, well, I don't want to know.
I know you don't want to know, but I'm scratching and clawing to get it done for you, Clarence. For you and me and the rest of the team. And who comes through my door but a Baltimore City police looking to get up into my shit about it?
Clay, we didn't know about that.
I'm sorry, I got to leave up out of here before I lose my damn mind.
Nobody knew about that.
You want to run a campaign with my money pillowed under your ass? You need your people to back the fuck up, Clarence.
At least we know he's running one.
All that profile? Shit, partner, you should be paying me a fee. Seriously, dog, for 20,000 cash to my campaign committee, I'll get myself indicted federal, let you go to trial on that. Beat the feds like a stepchild and really make a name for yourself.
I think, too, it's very telling of just how perfect he was in this role, that The Wire had a lot of great characters, a lot of great actors, but still Isaiah Whitlock as Senator Clay Davis gave us some of the greatest scenes in TV history, not just even in the show, but in all of television history. Truly, truly an iconic character.
Fuck you? No, son, I'm gonna make you. Motherfuckers gonna be wiping their ass with Johnny Cochran's memory and carrying your business card in every damn pocket before we done.
No, I already got more rep than any lawyer would ever need. Why don't you save that silver-tongued bullshit for the jury?
Yeah. He was awesome. He was so awesome. So if you if you've not watched The Wire, highly recommend. But you can also watch you can watch his performances in Goodfellas, in Da 5 Bloods. He was recently in that show Bryan Cranston did called Your Honor. He was in Cocaine Bear. He was in Veep. He just has a lot of work out there. He was in the Netflix film I Care a Lot with Rosamund Pike. Apparently he voiced NPCs in GTA V. My God. He did it all. He had a small role in BlacKkKlansman. Yes. He's in BlacKkKlansman. God, I'm looking through his filmography, and he was just in a ton of stuff. His passing's really sad. I hope he gets remembered at Oscars and the Globes. Yeah, I know. I mean, he definitely was a notable television actor that he should be remembered. You know, not that he didn't have film roles as well, but he really, really made his name as a character actor on TV. It's sad that a bunch of The Wire actors have passed. I know it's been a rough time for fans of The Wire. Okay, and then the second person I wanted to talk about who passed is Tatiana Schlossberg. Tatiana Schlossberg, who belongs to the Kennedy family, who was the sister of Jack Schlossberg, who I think people have kind of come to be familiar with. And she was the daughter of Caroline Kennedy and the granddaughter of JFK and Jackie O. And the reason I wanted to talk about this is not just because she was a member of a very famous family, but I had read this piece that she wrote in The New Yorker. It's called A Battle with My Blood. And I read this over Thanksgiving weekend, and it's just one of those pieces that really moved me. She was only 35 years old, and she was diagnosed with leukemia shortly after she had her second child. And she wrote this really beautiful, heartbreaking essay in The New Yorker. And in particular, I wanted to read the last part of it here, but first we can watch just this NBC report on her death.
And we are following breaking news this hour. Tatiana Schlossberg, the granddaughter of late President John F. Kennedy and the daughter of Caroline Kennedy, has died. Her family shared the news in a social media post this afternoon. Schlossberg, who was an environmental journalist, revealed she had terminal cancer last month in a New Yorker essay that went viral. She was 35 years old. Joining us now, NBC News correspondent Valerie Castro. Valerie, obviously a devastating development. Walk us through how Tatiana is being remembered today.
Yeah, Zinkley, this is really heartbreaking news. And the news came in the announcement from the Kennedy Library Foundation. They issued a statement saying, "Our beautiful Tatiana passed away this morning. She will always be in our hearts." She announced her diagnosis in late November. She wrote an essay for The New Yorker entitled A Battle with My Blood. And in the essay, she described finding out this diagnosis the same day that she gave birth to her daughter in April of 2024. Her blood work came back unusual, and doctors realized that she was suffering from acute myeloid leukemia, which is a very rare but very aggressive blood and bone marrow disorder. And so in the essay, she went on to describe the several months of treatment, the rounds of chemotherapy, 2 bone marrow transplants that she underwent. She was also undergoing a clinical trial, and she recalled the doctor in that clinical trial telling her that he could maybe keep her alive for a year. So the rest of the essay, she really described trying to be there for her 2 young children. I haven't seen any other reaction from the family today, but at the time, Caroline Kennedy's cousin, Maria Shriver, she posted something on Instagram encouraging others to read this essay of strength. And she also told people, let it be a reminder to be grateful for the life you are living today. Again, Tatiana was just 35 years old, leaves behind her husband and 2 young children.
Yeah, so young and right on the cusp of a new year as well, but she's certainly fondly remembered. Valerie Castro, thank you so much.
We thank you.
Yeah, it's just, it's really, really heartbreaking. And let me read some of her piece. I'll link it because I just think it's so well written. It's really such a beautiful piece, and it's sad that she wrote this in November and it went viral. A lot of people read it, and just over a month later, she's passed away. During the latest clinical trial, my doctor told me that he could keep me alive for a year, maybe. My first thought was that my kids, whose faces live permanently on the inside of my eyelids, wouldn't remember me. My son might have a few memories, but he'll probably start confusing them with pictures that he sees or stories that he hears. I didn't ever really get to take care of my daughter. I couldn't change her diaper or give her a bath or feed her, all because of the risk of infection after my transplants. I was gone for almost half of her first year of life. I don't know who, really, she thinks I am, and whether she will feel or remember when I am gone that I am her mother. Meanwhile, during the CAR-T treatment, a method developed over many decades with millions of dollars of government funding, my cousin, Robert F. Kennedy Jr., was in the process of being nominated and confirmed as the Secretary of Health and Human Services. Throughout my treatment, he had been on the national stage. Previously a Democrat, he was running for president as an independent, but mostly as an embarrassment to me and the rest of my immediate family. And if you'll remember, when RFK Jr. was running for office, a number of his relatives, which included Jack Schlossberg and other members of Tatiana's family, came out against him. They publicly denounced him and his anti-vaccine and anti-science positions, and the fact that he was running for president. Also, hello, Austin Show. It's Austin Show from the Fear End Podcast. Hello, Austin Show. Hello, Austin Show from the Fear End Podcast. And so just reading this piece, it also shook me because, and I'll keep reading, but RFK Jr. and what he was doing and what he's been doing has affected millions of people in this country, from the research grants that have been cut, that people who are sick have relied on, that people whose jobs it is to conduct this research have lost these jobs, the misinformation that he has peddled, the lies that he has peddled that have influenced parents to not vaccinate their children. He is such a harmful figure. And the fact that one of his own family members, one of his own relatives, was battling leukemia, which was a terminal diagnosis, and that his actions were also affecting her. And here she writes, in August 2024, he suspended his campaign and endorsed Donald Trump, who said that he was going to let Bobby go wild on health. My mother wrote a letter to the Senate to try and stop his confirmation. My brother had been speaking out against his lies for months. I watched from my hospital bed as Bobby, in the face of logic and common sense, was confirmed for the position despite never having worked in medicine, public health, or the government. Suddenly, the healthcare system on which I relied felt strained, shaky. Doctors and scientists at Columbia, including George, who's her husband, didn't know if they would be able to continue their research or even have jobs. Columbia was one of the Trump administration's first targets in its crusade against alleged anti-Semitism on campuses. In May, the university laid off 180 researchers after federal funding cuts. If George changed jobs, we didn't know if we'd be able to get insurance now that I had a pre-existing condition. Bobby is a known skeptic of vaccines, and I was especially concerned that I wouldn't be able to get mine again, leaving me to spend the rest of my life immunocompromised along with millions of cancer survivors, small children, and the elderly. Bobby has said there is no vaccine that is safe and effective. Bobby probably doesn't remember the millions of people who were paralyzed or killed by polio before the vaccine was available. My dad, who grew up in New York City in the 1940s and 50s, does remember. Recently, I asked him what it was like when he got the vaccine. He said that it felt like freedom. As I spent more and more of my life under the care of doctors, nurses, and researchers striving to improve the lives of others, I watched as Bobby cut nearly $500 million for research into mRNA vaccines, technology that could be used against certain cancers, slashed billions in funding from the National Institutes of Health, the world's largest sponsor of medical research, and threatened to oust the panel of medical experts charged with recommending preventative cancer screenings. Hundreds of NIH grants and clinical trials were canceled, affecting thousands of patients. I worried about funding for leukemia and bone marrow research at Memorial Sloan Kettering. I worried about the trials that were my only shot at remission. Early in my illness, when I had the postpartum hemorrhage, I was given a dose of misoprostol to help stop the bleeding. This drug is part of medication abortion, which at Bobby's urging is currently under review by the Food and Drug Administration. I freeze when I think about what would have happened if it had not been immediately available to me and to millions of other women who need it to save their lives or to get the care that they deserve. My plan, had I not gotten sick, was to write a book about the oceans, their destruction, but also the possibilities that they offer. She's an environmental journalist. During treatment, I learned that one of my chemotherapy drugs, cytarabine, owes its existence to an ocean animal, a sponge that lives in the Caribbean Sea, called, holy shit, Tectithia crypta. This discovery was made by scientists at the University of California, Berkeley, who first synthesized the drug in 1959 and who almost certainly relied on government funding, the very thing that Bobby had already cut. I won't write about cytarabine. I won't find out if we were able to harness the power of the oceans or if we let them boil and turn into a garbage dump. My son knows that I am a writer and that I write about our planet. Since I've been sick, I remind him a lot so that he will know that I was not just a sick person. When I look at him, I try to fill my brain with memories. How many more times can I watch the video of him trying to say Anna Karenina? What about when I told him I didn't want ice cream from the ice cream truck and he hugged me, patted me on the back and said, "I hear you, buddy, I hear you." I think about the first time I came home from the hospital. He walked into my bathroom, looked at me and said, "It's so nice to meet you in here." Then there's my daughter, her curly red hair like a flame, squinting her eyes and grinning a gap-toothed grin after taking a sip of seltzer. She stomps around the house in bright yellow rain boots, pretending to talk on my mother's phone, a string of fake pearls around her neck, no pants, giggling and running away from anyone who tries to catch her. She asks us to play James Brown's I Got the Feelin' by picking up a portable speaker and saying, "Baby, baby." Mostly, I try to live and be with them now. But being in the present is harder than it sounds, so I let the memories come and go. So many of them are from my childhood that I feel as if I'm watching myself and my kids grow up at the same time. Sometimes I trick myself into thinking I'll remember this forever. I'll remember this when I'm dead. Obviously, I won't. But since I don't know what death is like and there's no one to tell me what comes after it, I'll keep pretending. I will keep trying to remember. There's just there's so much about this that, as I said, I read this when we were flying back from our China trip, and it just deeply moved me, and it also infuriated me, the part where she talks about her cousin RFK Jr. and the damage that he has been doing as the head of HHS, and just her, you know, it was just the like the shocking reality that somebody who's a member of his own family is really just, you know, is really, she's a person who was also, like millions and millions of people in this country, being affected by what is happening to our healthcare system, what is been happening at to medical and scientific research, and just the reality of that. You know, this is Caroline Kennedy is the only one of JFK and Jackie O's children who had children. So like Tatiana is one of only 3 grandchildren of JFK and Jackie O, and now she's gone. And obviously, like, it was not RFK Jr. that gave her leukemia, but just this part of the piece where she's writing about, you know, she's writing about her illness. She's writing about her children, and just grappling with this reality that she is going to die, but still having the clarity to like tie this into what is happening at a federal level, and how even after she's gone, there are still going to be millions of people who are affected by these, by these decisions that her cousin RFK Jr. has been, by these actions that he's been taking. And it's so personal, and it's so devastating. I love how and the thing is too, is like, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what your politics are. This is something that affects all of us. This is something, it doesn't matter if you are a conservative. It doesn't matter if you are a liberal. Illnesses, diseases like cancer, having to deal with the healthcare system, having to worry about important funding and important funding getting cut, either for medical trials that you are a part of, or that, you know, a loved one is a part of, or like research into a disease that affects so many people. That's the truth of it, is like, this is something that affects all of us. And man, I just wish, I wish people would be able to see this, that it doesn't matter if you supported Donald Trump, that if you think RFK Jr. is great, you too can find yourself in a position like this where you're now no longer able to, or maybe you have a sick child, get the care that you need, have research conducted into something that affects so many people, like cancer. Everyone's getting fucked over. Yes. But also on top of that, not aside from that, I thought that this piece was important to talk about, not just because Tatiana's passed, but because I think it's one of those that I think it's one of those that if you have been in a similar position where a loved one of yours has gone through something like this, or whatever's happening in your personal life, like it's a very relatable piece, and the way that she talks about memory, and she talks about just, I don't know. I mean, her life and what she still, what her dreams were, and what she was holding on to in her final days. I'm in the middle of it with my dad. Yeah, so I just wanted to share this, and maybe this is something that if you have 20 minutes and you wanted to read through it, there's some pieces that come along, some pieces of writing that come along that just kind of make you pause, and you feel really grateful for the writing and for the person who wrote it. And anyway, it was very sad news today hearing that Tatiana Schlossberg had passed, because I had, like a lot of people, just read this piece in November. And anyway, so those are the two losses that I wanted to cover today: Isaiah Whitlock Jr. and Tatiana Schlossberg, and rest in peace to both of them. What an immense loss for her children. I know. And it is one of those things that, like, I am so sad for her kids and for her family, but what an amazing thing too, that she was a writer, and she was such a wonderful writer, that there will be this piece of her that remains when her kids get older, and they're both really young. Like, she had literally just given birth to her second child, and then started to feel something was wrong. They rushed her into the emergency room, and she ended up being diagnosed with leukemia. And so she's talking about her fears and her anxieties of her kids, like, not remembering her and only knowing her through stories and through pictures. But this is something that her children will always have, that they'll have this piece of their mom, and they'll get to remember her and know her through her work, through her writing. It sucks that on her last day, she saw Trump try to put his name on the Kennedy Center. Oh God, I know. Which now Trump is trying to sue the musicians at Kennedy Center who apparently have refused to perform at whatever, like, New Year's show was planned. He actually talked more shit about it today. Yeah, because he's a narcissist, and he's obsessed with having an influence on culture and the arts without actually being an artist, without actually being someone deserving of it. He just uses his power and his and his wealth and his narcissism to, like, force his name onto things. I'm sure their contract was signed on to play at the Kennedy Center, not the Trump Kennedy Center. Yeah. That's what he is. Anyway. Anywho. All right. That's it for the sad news. That's all I got in me. I just always, when I can, like to remember people who, when they pass, and they were either people who had, who were in some of my favorite television shows, or who wrote things that were very meaningful to me. One of the things we do here on the stream is to try our best to be aware and remember someone's legacy. And sometimes they're super famous, and sometimes they are just a person who wrote a really beautiful piece about dying. Leave us with something funny or positive. Well, I was going to game. That's what I was going to do. But you have something lighter? Okay, let's see. Hey, role model and Dakota Johnson getting real cozy at Donna's in Echo Park right now. He kept kissing her forehead and gorge bangs. This is somebody I feel like I know about and I don't care to know about. Role model, why do I know this person? Why is role model being like shoved in my face everywhere I go? Why is role model and Dakota Johnson getting cozy at Donna's in Echo Park? I don't know. But you know what? A very bland couple. A very bland couple. Their couple name is Roll Johnson or Model Dakota. Is role model his actual name? I don't think that that's what's on the birth certificate. Austin Show called me and then he came into stream, but we were talking about sad things. Let me call him back. I'm sure it's incredibly important. Wait, is he isn't he in Austin? I'm sure he is. I'm sure he is. He is at a gay bar somewhere in Austin. Oh, he's calling back. Yes, Mr. Austin Show from the Fear and Podcast. I saw that.
It's me.
I saw you called. I know. I saw you called, and then you came into chat.
Yes, I needed you very urgently, Caroline.
Yes, we were talking.
I'm at the club. It's Tuesdays here in Austin, Texas.
You know, I literally just said I am sure Austin Show is at a gay club somewhere in Austin, Texas.
It's actually not a gay club, but they made it a gay club tonight, so I showed up.
Wait, is it a gay club because you're there?
Well, I don't know.
Any
they
club?
had this thing in Austin called Tuesdays, where every Tuesday they do this gay thing on Tuesday. I said, sure.
What the hell? Sure.
I tricked him and I said it's a straight bar. He had no idea. Anyway, who's the girl that is the DJ that did all the fixing for us in Japan?
Rhyme.
Oh, shit.
Yes.
Okay, so I'm at this club and Rhyme came on.
Yeah, was it Crush?
Everybody's like Grimes. You know Grimes?
Wait, no, Rhyme.
I know it's Rhyme that was our fixer. But I got it mixed up with Grime.
No. You're telling me a Grime song came on and you were like, I know her?
Yes.
Oh, Austin.
I know. I was freaking out and I was so cool for a moment. And then I was like, oh no, actually I don't know her.
No, I'm sorry, but you're not so cool for, even though you don't know Grimes.
A lot of dudes here. Yeah, I know.
No.
I know. There's a lot of dudes here. Rob's very confused as to why there's a lot of men here.
You mean famed guest of the Hasanabi Twitch show, Grimes?
Yes.
Oh, well, no.
Hi to Christian. It's Caroline. She's on stream.
Christian?
Caroline Quad. Okay, that's enough. Thank you.
Oh, right. Austin.
Oh, my God.
That's a hate crime.
That's enough.
Austin, you are literally doing a homophobic hate crime by preventing Christian.
Well, it's okay. Did you see Christian's tweet? It was out of control.
No, what happened?
Oh my God. Somebody called him the F slur. And then he tweets, he's like, oh, I'm used to that. My boyfriend turns me out and calls me the F slur every night. I was like,
wait, who called him that?
I don't know. I don't know. Somebody, well, I don't know.
Wait.
It's just some random Twitter person called him the F slur. You know how it
Hold
goes.
on. Wait, why is Peach calling me? Aren't you guys?
No, she's right next to me.
Peach, aren't you right next to Austin?
She's called. No, she's not calling you anymore. Oh, wait, she's typing your name in.
But she's
calling you again.
wait.
Just answer her call.
Oh,
Give me,
wait, hold on. Hold on.
Caroline,
I have merged our calls.
Are you joining the call together?
I don't want to be joined by that man.
Are we in a three-way call?
We're having a threesome right now.
With him now.
Do you have the Twitch chat open? Caroline, I love you. He's not letting me tell you, but I love you.
I know.
Caroline, I need you to talk to me. Just me. Ignore him.
He lies. Oh, I hate the eyes. Oh my God, is that who's
Caroline,
on
I'm
right
like,
now?
Yes.
No, everybody shut up.
Tape
Everybody
Cray
shut
on
the
right
fuck
now?
up.
Oh.
Stop. Let me talk. You guys are voicing out women every time I fucking talk to y'all. Caroline, we were on a walk earlier today. And we were like, oh my God, we miss Caroline Kwan. Caroline was here. We're thinking of you so much, and I love you so much. And like, you said the best breast I've ever seen in my life. Can you get me a vodka soda? With lime, extra lime. My tab is open. Fuck off. We're really lemon and lime. In the gay club. We're staring at each other from across the gay club right now.
Lemon and lime, please. Vodka soda.
I'm not getting you shit, bitch. You know what this man did, Caroline? The other night, I made a soup whenever he came into town. I made a creamy meatball soup with pasta.
I can't hear a thing. Tape Cray's on. I love Tape Cray.
Caroline, don't listen to me. He's covering my mouth, but I love you so much. Oh my God, both of y'all, shut up. I'm talking. Women are talking. Anyways,
I'm here. I'm listening.
I'm gonna go.
He's high as shit.
I'm gonna go now. What are you talking about?
You better go, bitch.
On the call together? Yeah. I love you all. I'm gonna go now.
Go get your vodka soda yourself.
Okay.
Anyways, Caroline, I made a creamy meatball Italian soup.
Okay.
Meatball was the main ingredient of this. There was a lot of pasta in there. He gets high as shit at my house the other night. I am making him cut apples and peanut butter. I am giving him every snack that he could imagine. And he looks at my fridge and he goes, Peach, I really want some of that soup. Pick out all the meatballs for me. I realized I had a demon in my house. There's a demon in my house.
Oh my God.
Nasty man.
He ain't no diva.
Oh, yes. Hang on, Ryan, I'm busy right now.
You look screaming at the phone.
Oh, wait. My friend took a video of me screaming at you across the gay club, but I look really good. Can you send that to me? Yeah.
I'm sure you do.
It's right.
Caroline, I need you to be here. I need my
right now
sisters here immediately. I'm not kidding you. I've talked about you so many times. Me and Christian, we just talk about you constantly. I just want to let you know that you're the most talented, most gorgeous, most beautiful lady that I can never. Like, I just can't believe I know you. I love you so much, and I'm not even that drunk. And look, I would say this sober. I was saying this sober.
No, I know you would.
You? Yes, I know. Okay. Oh, I thought Christian was next to me, but it was really a trash can, and I don't mean that. Okay.
Not Christian, it's the trash can.
No. Caroline, listen to me. This is very important.
Yes.
I love you so much. You're genuinely one of the most amazing inspirations in my life. And okay, I may be a little drunk, but I feel like you know I love you.
Oh my God.
I love you, Caroline.
I
love you so much.
I love you guys too.
Back off. I'm in the corner of the club backing these men off. They all need you, but I need you the most.
I'm in the corner watching
and before you ever
kiss.
call Austin, no, stop thinking, listen to me. Before you ever call Austin again, hang up the phone and call me first.
Okay. Well, Austin had called and then he came into my chat, and of course I was talking about something serious, which usually is.
Attention whore, Caroline, don't listen to him.
Which
stop fucking attention whore. We're at the gay club right now, and guess what he's getting? He's getting validation left and right.
No, I know. Of course. That's why he's there. Well, listen, you guys go take a shot for me, okay? Each of you.
What type of shot?
How about tequila?
Ew. Caroline.
Okay, never mind.
No. Can you pick something else?
Okay.
Don't listen to them.
Okay. Take a. How about a lemon drop?
Gay rights. Okay, Caroline, we're gonna take a shot for you. Guys, I think I'm the phone.
Okay, love you guys. Gay rights.
Bye, babe.
You can't tell women without W. Bye. I think that they were very sober. And I also am aware of the fact that both Austin and Christian had come into chat as I was on the phone with all three of them. And then Austin left the call, but then came into chat. Sober. Yes. 100% sober. No. It definitely sound. No. I know you guys are. You need to motorboat me. Well, I need you to motorboat me. And you need to motorboat me. So we need to make it happen. One of us is we're going to have to meet in the middle. Just what is in the middle of, what is halfway between Los Angeles and Austin? Let's take a look. Los Angeles and Austin. Does anybody know just off the top of their head? Albuquerque. Well, don't really love Albuquerque, but if that is what's in the middle, then I guess Peach, I'll see you for that motorboat in Albuquerque. Albuquerque. Okay, she just sent me a video of her talking to me on the phone. You do look hot. The titties are popping. Who took this video? You look like a diva. You look like, I love how there's the big Black Lives Matter flag that Peach is standing directly under with her fabulous coat as she's on the phone with me. Show us. This is so absurd. Here. Somebody zoomed in. This looks like it'd be a scene in a, I don't know, true crime documentary. And then it fades to black and white, or it's like an episode of Law and Order. It fades to black and white. It's like, that was the last time that Peach Jars was seen. Some found footage. And she was never seen again. But it turns out she had simply gone to the next bar. I beg you to look at Christian's tweet. Okay, I will look at Christian's tweet. Okay, so somebody called NSR Groiper. I'm shocked. Somebody with the Twitter name NSR Groiper with a profile photo of Pepe the Frog with an American flag and an assault rifle. I'm so shocked. Also, you are Y-O-U-R. I love whenever someone says this where it's like, oh, what? Christian is gay? LOL, I grew up in Florida. My BF calls me this every night, turning me inside out. This shit lacks any creativity and doesn't affect me in the slightest. You know, what else can you say besides that? Turning me inside out. We love a vivid description. We love a clapback that is so vivid. Yeah. Scroll down. Yeah, Austin, like you don't say shit on Firian podcast. Like Firian podcast is not a place where the hosts of that podcast frequently reveal things in great detail. Turning me inside out. When will it be my turn? When will it be me? Damn, I'm happy for you, but it should have been me. Yeah, NSR Groiper, you really got him. You really said something that Christian, a gay theater boy from Florida, Hasn't heard a million times. Austin's the only reason the pod needs to be edited. Full circle moment. We were talking about slurs at the start of stream. We were. Another full circle stream moment. Look at that. Perfect. And that is, I think, a good place. A good place to end it. We love when we come full circle. God of Raw, thank you for the 11 months. Zio, thank you for the gifted jewels. Thank you for the 12 months. Okay. All right. Sorry. I feel like I actually feel that the phone call was the perfect way to wrap things up, because sometimes I'm like, sometimes I'll finish like the commentary part of the stream. I'm like, damn, was that too bleak? was that too many sad things? Did I manage to strike a balance? Have I left people feeling totally depressed, which is never what I want people to feel? But we had a really beautiful phone call thanks to Christian, Peach, and Austin, who are definitely not drunk, at a not gay bar in Austin, Texas. I was depressed before the coverage, don't worry. I feel less alone. That's good. That's good. Ready to take on Praxis tomorrow morning. Oh, man. I just kept thinking about that piece that Tatiana Schlossberg wrote, and it was something I was going to share already. When I first read it, I was like, oh, I really want to share this for with the community. And then she passed away, and I was like, you know what? Now is the perfect time to share this piece, because sometimes I read something, and even if it's devastating, I'm like, it's such a beautiful piece of writing, and I just want to share it with everyone. I'm like, I think this is something you guys should read. Genuinely, thank you for sharing that with us. It was very powerful. You're welcome. Okay. It's gaming time. Oh my God, Jennifer Coolidge up at the top. Oh, wow. It looks like it's time to play a scary game. So this is a game called Routine. Quick question, Kara, which part of Japan did you get to Dakota? I honestly don't know. I want to say Harajuku. Oh, I really don't remember. For as elongated as that story is, there are no details that will inform you where the coat was purchased from if you wanted to go shopping in that area of Tokyo. I just remember that Ray was like, let's go shopping. And maybe it was Ginza. Oh my God, I'm sorry. I can't remember though. You know what I will do? I will look through my photos, because sometimes it will show you a location. So let me look through, see if I have anything, and then that can maybe pinpoint the location that we went shopping in. Raekwon needs to be reunited. I know. Raekwon does need to be reunited. Okay, everybody, this is a game called Routine. I've mentioned this a couple times, but it is a game that Sam highly, highly recommended. She was just blown away by this game. And apparently it's a game that the developers spent 13 years making, which is always it's always astonishing to me. It's like 13 years they spent on this game that has finally come out. And it is a horror game, and the premise of it is that the premise of it is that it takes place on a lunar base, and it's a survival game. And you have to search for answers that puts you face to face with an enemy who is certain that the main threat is you. All right, so let me just fix a couple things here. Display, graphics, accessibility, audio subtitles. Okay. Game. I still never know what any of this stuff means. All right, I really have to pee. Be right back. Stuck in a space. Maybe, we'll see. What was that Sam Rockwell movie about a moon base? Moon.